You guys, what is going on? It is Thursday. It is going to be a big episode today. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's get this intro out of the way, you guys. We got a lot to talk about, and I really want to jump into it. I know you guys do too. For those who haven't heard, THORChain is the world's leading Bitcoin DEX. You can swap 13 different blockchains across 41 different pools without using bridges or wrap tokens. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org, swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There's no account to open, no KYC required, and privacy is a human right. THORChain has two tokens, RUNE and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in RUNE, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from swap, so you don't need to own RUNE to trade on THORChain. That's pretty cool, you guys. 10% of the protocol's fee goes to TCY token holders. Remember to stake the TCY tokens in order to collect this yield, and the RUNE token is currently deflationary as 5% of the fees are burned. There are no block rewards on THORChain. The protocol fees are real money paid by real users. THORChain is more than just a DEX. It is a programmable layer 1 with the ability to create smart contracts and dApps. This app layer is being developed by Rujira. If you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram group. Links for those are on THORChain.org. And additionally, on THORChain.org, you can join our email list. It is the best way to stay up to date with THORChain. Lastly, guys, and always remember, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes and does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The THORChain community does not endorse or condone illicit activity of any kind whatsoever. And with that out of the way, you guys, what is going on? I hope everyone's had a good week. My name's Denny. For those who don't know, I've been doing this for a while. I love THORChain. I'm going ahead and kick it over to my main man, Kenton. He's got an update for it, and then we're going to get right into the show. How you doing, Kenton?
I'm good. Thanks, Denny. Yeah, Chad, I actually have a few things to go over. So, where should I start? Okay, the newsletter. So yeah, if you pay attention, we just added that to the intro. Over the years, really, I've heard something I picked up from the community is people complaining about they want one place to go, one thing to get like news and updates and whatever on THORChain. And not everyone's in Discord, not everyone's on Twitter, not everyone's whatever. Email is still hands down the top social media platform. And we're starting an email list, and basically to collate and collect like all the blog posts that go out, any articles about THORChain on third-party sites, some banger posts, whether it's from the THORChain Twitter account itself or from community members. Some updates on like kind of what we're working on, like the next major things coming out of THORChain to look forward to. It's supposed to go out once a week. And we're still putting the final touches on it, getting it cleaned up to make it look good. So I don't know. These things always take longer than I think. It's probably 2 weeks before we're going to start sending them out. So the goal of the newsletter is to be, if you're only going to choose one thing to follow on THORChain, sign up to the email list. And everything else is kind of extra.
You know what you could do though, if you just throwing ideas out there, just spitballing, you produce the content. How you ingest the content is like a second layer, right? Like you produce like the page, right, of content, whatever that is, and you can subscribe to it via email. You could subscribe to it via Telegram. You could pull it via Discord. You could pull it via tweets or blog posts. Do you see what I mean?
No, actually. How do you?
I explained that really poorly. So you're producing like, kind of like a newsletter,
Yeah.
right, so to speak. And you produce, here's all the news for this week about THORChain, like whatever it is, right? And you can, but what I'm saying is that content can be just replicated on multiple places. The same content, you're not really generating different
okay.
Maybe formatting it differently, possibly for different things.
Well,
but like blog posts, email, Telegram, Discord,
yeah,
OpenClaw, I don't know, whatever the latest the kids are using these days.
I got to push back with chat because this is going to create more work. So then we got to create a new page, basically, right? Like a URL, like its own web page for this all this content to sit on. And then you click on the URL and you go to it.
Well, it would be like, I guess, depends. Like, it could be what is the starting form of it? And maybe like a blog post is the starting form. Like, we could do like a blog.thorchain.org, for example. And then you can subscribe by email or Telegram or Discord or whatever. You see what I mean? Like, it's most of the time, the hardest part is just creating the content.
Yeah.
Right. Which is probably AI generated to some degree. Right. And then just having people the option of pulling that information through whatever mechanism they want to receive it from, rather than just assuming everybody's going to use email.
So then, I mean, so then we have to format this content to fit each different platform.
Yeah, which AI can generate that. It's all AI can have like a HTML blog post thing. It could have a markdown format for Discord, this format for Telegram. But AI can just create the different formats and push it out.
Maybe it's
See what
something
I
we have to talk about offline to understand better.
Just brainstorm.
Yeah.
I like the idea though. At a high level, I like the concept.
So the idea was to do the opposite, to take the highlights from all the different platforms and put it all into one. And then also to capture email addresses. So like, another
Yeah,
way
if
to
the point is to
be in
capture email
touch.
addresses, that's
Yeah.
different. 'Cause, like, if you do an email list or whatever, then you can also use that as like an opportunity for like, you could not that I'm saying we should or will do that, but like you could use ads in that scenario, right? We
Yeah, but
will.
yeah.
Not that I'm saying that's what would happen, but it's one of the purposes of email lists in general is as a revenue generation machine.
Yeah,
Which the marketing team would, get that revenue and then spend it on the, protocol, of course.
of course, but I really don't want to monetize it. I think that turns people off. But maybe I need to understand better your idea about pushing it out to the different, because in my
Yeah,
mind, if we're creating the
it-
content once and it can just be pushed out to all these different platforms, then great. And if it's not hard
yeah, that's what I'm
to
thinking.
implement,
That's just a two-step. Got the
yeah,
content, delivery, and those are two separate things.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you can even like. It's actually a really good example of another way of doing the same thing. It actually is. Claude Code has this thing where they generate YouTube videos on every release of Claude Code, and it's really like, it looks nice, and it's this AI generated YouTube channel that just says, "Oh, version 2.1.16 comes out, and here's the new features," right? And it's just like an AI generated video.
Interesting.
But like as a YouTuber, like I like YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube content. There's lots of really good content providers out there. And that's one of them. And it's just like, it's a way for me to ingest what's going on in the Claude Code world without, going to a blog post.
So which channel is it? What's it called? It's Claude's channel?
I think it's made by, let me find it real quick for you so I can give you the exact thing. It's a really good example because it's well done. And I'm fairly certain that nobody actually makes the videos. It's all just AI generated.
That'd be really cool. That's like a passive way to get content out there that requires very little effort once we have it set up. That's
Yeah,
really
because
interesting.
the goal of the newsletter is to be digestible. You can skim through it in a few minutes.
Right. And I'm saying is like, you could take the content
Yeah,
and you can format it in Markdown for Discord and,
yeah,
blog posts is one format, which is all AI generated. And then you can generate another format, which is a video, which
Yep.
is AI generated video
Yep.
that just automatically just gets pushed onto the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I just found the YouTube channel. I'm going to put a link in there, kind of like our public chat here, so other people can look at it as well. But it's at Claude Log, which I think I'm assuming is made by Claude themselves, Anthropicums themselves, but maybe it's
Okay.
just made by a fan. But it's a good example because like there's nothing on the YouTube channel other than these just repetitive videos over and over and over again that just talk about, here's the latest from Claude Code, right?
Yeah.
And effectively we're doing the same. Like, here's the latest from THORChain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great post by Denny that talk about Bliss, and this happened and this happened and that happened.
Yeah. And it for YouTube, the video has to be under 3 minutes to be a short. So I think we should be able to do that.
Yeah, these videos are all like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
40 seconds. Something
Nice.
like that.
Easy,
Yeah.
digestible, simple. That's what people
Simple,
love.
quick, digest, and they're almost all videos, and they have short versions as well.
Okay.
Shorts. And you can post it on Instagram. You can post it on TikTok. Like, I don't know. It's just, by separating the content from its medium, you can really like,
Vector out and spread everywhere.
vector out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really quite fascinating.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks for that.
I love it. Jesus got some cool things we talk about the second the show starts. I love it.
We're live. We're spitballing live. We're throwing ideas around.
So yeah, I'll looking at it with the guys. Okay, so another thing, Apple Podcasts, Coke and I finally figured that out. For some reason, they stopped updating in January. So we got to sort it out. So Apple Podcasts should be all synced up now and pulling up all our podcasts. The V12 bug bounty, all that drama is going on online. I was talking to the PR guys about it, and they said just treat it like trolling. Don't give it any attention, and just let time do its thing and have it just like kind of fade away. Basically, because the algorithm feeds whatever you give it something attention to, it pushes that to the top of the list, right? So if we just ignore it and stop paying attention to it, it'll just fade away and go away. But I did. Let me show you guys. So, where is it? Entire screen. I did get Defiant to update their article. So, I don't know if you guys saw, but V12, they must have paid for this article in Defiant to kind of bitch about THORChain. But I got them to add their section to clarify that the bug bounty program was ended before they submitted their report, and their bug they disclosed has nothing to do with the exploit that happened. So try to set the record straight, at least there for posterity's sake. But I asked Marketer Cross, like, should we be writing up like rebuttal articles that talk about this? And they said no, don't. We'll save our firepower for when trading resumes and we talk about positive stuff. They're saying basically we only really want to like try and like it would only make sense to really address the stuff if it's just not going away and it's just over and over again. But stuff like this tends to get lost in the news cycle, so best to just leave it and keep moving forward.
By the way, this is a very common thing to happen for projects in general, where you get submissions. They're like, "Oh, I found an exploit," right? And like 90-something% of the time, it's complete horseshit. Not in this case. It wasn't a complete horseshit in this particular case, but in general, that's the case. And everybody thinks, no, but mine's real, right? And they fight and they go back and forth, just burning time. And then sometimes they do what happened here is they jump on Twitter or Discord and they claim, and they kind of create a big scene of it, which is very unprofessional, by the way. Like, it really hurts. I'm not sure if they're aware, but that hurts their brand when they're running around Twitter speaking that kind of way. Not to mention that, like, it actually might even be illegal to be talking about, we have more exploits that if they don't do this, we're going to publicly disclose them. Like, that's not smart to say that publicly. That's just not a good idea. But even even this case, like, from my understanding, the exploit they're talking about was, I don't know, questionable, I would say, at best. It was like we didn't even want, it wasn't enough to cause us to even want to pause trading or anything like that. Like, that's how we didn't think that much of it. I mean, it's real. It's an actual issue, and we'll fix it to fix it. But it's not like actually exploitable, at least in our opinions. So, but then this person went out, and by the way, this person wasn't even talking to me or our security team or anybody on THORChain. They were talking to somebody on the Rujira team, which is nothing to do with THORChain other than just being, adjacent to each other in one sense, And by the way, you probably should not be disclosing exploits to people outside of the THORChain team. Like, that's just like kind of 101 stuff, but making a big stink out of it and causing a huge scene and like people, I don't know, it's just annoying.
Well, they're obviously idiots because they didn't go to the GitLab. They didn't read the bug bounty page. They didn't. There's an
they didn't
email
even
there
properly submit it.
to how to
Like,
submit it. Like,
they didn't know the bug bounty program was retired, or not retired, but paused for 1 year.
Yeah.
You know, before, like, that you can see the unprofessionalism kind of
Yeah.
rolling up here, right?
Yeah.
And so it's when they go out and they make a big scene and they pay a bunch of money to a bunch of different, whether it be Defiant or whatever, to like cause a bigger and bigger scene, to kind of like socially pressure us to like, oh, hey, we'll pay you, right?
Yeah.
Like, in general, just so everybody's clear, I'm going to say the very clear thing to the community: if you are making a public scene about some exploit or whatever, that is a good cause for me to be very much uninterested in giving you any fucking money at all. Like, you're already fucked yourself in that scenario. Like, it's kind of like, you know, as Americans, we don't negotiate with terrorism, right? Kind of thing. Like, I don't do that either, right? So if you're going to make a big public scene, embarrass yourself by what you're doing and try to embarrass the protocol itself, it's not going to play over well from my perspective. Just letting everybody know.
Yeah, and guys, there is nothing. It costs nothing to post and make a claim on X. And a lot of these profiles, the other one posted like 600 followers. Like, I had no mutual followers. I don't know how legitimate this is, if it's real, but people love to tag me on X. Like, whenever they see something like this, like, guys, maybe just calm down just a little bit on that. You know, there's so much misinformation out there, so much bad stuff. And to their point, right? Like, the mass majority of the stuff is not true. It's nonsense. And by giving it more attention, we give it legs. So we're only kicking ourselves in the butt, right? There are channels for them to reach out to the team. If they're making a stink about an X, they're just not professional. It's just not the way it's supposed to be done. So, but I'll kick it back to you, Kenton.
Yeah, and like, I know a lot of people can't stand Trump, but like, he's right about fake news. Like, you know, especially you guys can know this, how much, while you understand THORChain, what's going on, and then you read an article about it out there, and like, this is all wrong, if not blatantly wrong. And so, like, you know, everyone's in a rush to get something out there and get attention and be whatever. And like, they just report wrong stuff, and like, or they don't check it. And, you know, just like when the exploit happened, you know, all these scam websites showing up. And you have Cointelegraph and Blockworks like publishing links to a scam phishing site.
Coin Bureau too.
Coin Bureau too. They didn't even check. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, this is worse than fake news. So, and this is, so, and don't take it personally. If they're doing it to us, they're doing it to every other crypto, every company, every other human in the world is all being represented poorly by the news media. So, just unfortunately, the world we live in now, where it's this rush to get content out there, and no one stops to think about it. So,
yeah, I don't know how we've, as a society, we've just like given up on journalistic integrity.
Yeah,
like that was a thing for a long time, that you don't publish bullshit, right? And now we've like gotten to a place where where the only thing that's not bullshit is Twitter, which is where all the bullshit is, and all the spam and Russian accounts that are, you know, parading as they're if part of some community, whatever. It's like the biggest center of horseshit is Twitter, because there's no journalistic integrity whatsoever. And I'm a little disappointed at Defiant and other Coin Bureau and other ones that are publishing nonsense and making statements like, "Oh, we've reached out to THORChain." Did you?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
They did,
because I haven't heard a fucking word about it. No. What are you talking about?
Well, when so Market Across knows the people at Defiant. They reached out. I'm like, who asked them? Who did they reach out to? Who is the person at THORChain they reached out to? And then they never said anything. So, like,
of course not. They have to put in the article, and you know.
Yeah.
I emailed this email address that I just made up in my head 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand. Like, it's just, where is the journalistic integrity here? Like, it's gone.
It's overwhelming, because like, especially on the first day of the exploit, there were so many accounts that were like making these outlandish claims of exactly what just happened, and I'm just like, what? And I'm trying to like parse all this information, and it does no service to anybody, but they're just trying to get the virality. Is whoever comes first wins. It's almost like when you call the police. Whoever calls 911 first, they wins. Same thing, virality. Whoever makes the post, they make them speak in all caps, you know, and make a big scene. That's what gets attention. It's exhausting. It really is, trying to combat all the bad information out there.
And we have to thank Ron Burgundy, you know, it's fear porn that sells, negative news that sells,
Yeah.
not positive news, right? And so, you know, the 24/7 news cycle of negativity.
Milk was a bad choice.
The arsonist had oddly shaped feet.
That's a great film, by the way.
Oh man, I've
Hilarious.
watched it like 100 times when I was younger. That was great.
So
How now, brown cow?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, so it's the nature of the world we live in, guys. This isn't unique to THORChain. So if appreciate everyone's support, and I see the comments, people getting frustrated, but just take it with a grain of salt, guys. It's not unique to us. Everyone's dealing with this, so we'll get over it. That's my job, and I feel pretty good. We can turn this around and get people focused on positives here once we move forward. So yeah, okay, some positives. So gave out 2 new APIs in the last week for people to integrate THORChain. And on STO, we're back now. I think we got most of the bugs ironed out. Added a bunch more languages. So I think there's 30 different languages on there. And I got to update I created a Google spreadsheet with the English and other language to ask the community to help me translate. So if there's any native speakers out there, we use AI to do the translation, but I appreciate if a human reads it, they'll have some more nuance. So I'll get those new languages done on the Google Doc and ask the community if anyone's out there. One of the ones I'm excited about is Nigerian Pidgin. As far as I'm concerned, THORChain should be huge in Nigeria. Every Nigerian should be using it. So yeah, if there's a language on there if we do not have a language on there that you think we should have, just let me know. It's relatively easy to do it. I was thinking we'd have 100 languages on there, and the guy's like, well, we don't want too many. It's just going to maybe create a mess. So, but if there's a couple people out there want a specific language, let me know. We can do it.
This is a silly ask, so you don't have to do it, but I think it'd be fun, like a little Easter egg. Do like Nordic Viking language, just because it's like THORChain in it. Right? It'd be like a nice little like Easter egg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you
Love
pull
it.
down the Nordic, whatever the hell the language is actually called, because I forget on the top of my head.
Well, can we use the runic alphabet?
That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Norse.
Yeah,
Norse.
That'd be a slick little like Easter egg. You can like have hidden in the website, and people can like click on it and like, oh yeah.
All right, I'll see.
That'd be fun.
See what we can do.
I love it.
Watch, some idiot is going to use it, do a stupid trade, and then blame us. I didn't understand language. Oh my
Why'd
God.
you pick it, dude?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just like replace all text on the website with just like THORChain is great, but just write that in Nordic and just repeat it everywhere. Yeah,
then I was doing some like little housekeeping, trying to like just small fixes on the website and stuff. We're still tweaking it. The SEO has been going well. Our average ranking position is called went from 12 to 8. So it's a jump up. Lower the number, the better. So we're up by 30-some%. So that means on average we should be getting on page 1 on Google for when people search on the search terms where THORChain shows up. Apparently the golden number is 5. If we can get that average ranking position to 5, that's like the new page 1 in a sense. And so if you look up like swap crypto swap, crypto spelled with an I, we come up on page 1. DeFi swap.
Crypto spelled with an I? Crypty?
Crypto.
I mean, what?
Crypto, CRIPTO.
Oh, okay.
Somebody spelled it wrong? I don't know.
Okay. Right.
Non-English speakers, right? Who knows?
I don't know. But all the different like kind of swap things we're coming up on page 1. And sometimes in the 3rd spot too. Not like the bottom of page 1, like the top 3 of page 1. So that's good. And I think the way the SEO people explain it to me is we got to like start ranking for some of the easier words, and then we can start going for some of the harder ones. So like crypto exchange, I think it's gonna be much harder to break into, and but we can start I'm already talking about, okay, what's our next like kind of key phrase to go after. Um, but crypto exchange seems to be like one of the most searched terms out there, like after like Bitcoin and Ethereum, especially something relative to what we do, right? So, but we're obviously competing with Binance's and Coinbase's of the world with crypto exchange. So, um, but doesn't mean we can't try. I mean, that's what we're doing, right? We're
Yep.
competing with them, right? We gotta start somewhere. Um, so hopefully over the next week we'll kind of come up with some new phrases to start going after. Um, but that's it for me. Oh, yeah, sorry, back to STO. That's what I wanted to say. After the language, we are working on some new features. Kepler wallet, all the support all the tokens. We put that on pause until trading resumes so we can actually test it. So right now we're working on a page for pooling, creating Thor names, and a page for affiliates. So I know there's no pooling, no one's adding liquidity, but at least for LPs that want to withdraw, but also for new partners like layer ones that we integrate on THORChain, make it easier for them to pool. Thor name should be relatively easy page to create anyway. But we need this for our affiliates so that they can create a Thor name easily and integrate our API. And then the affiliate page is going to be an easy way for them to throw in our API, their Thor name, their address, the fee they want to use, and create the code for it, and a widget to put a widget on their website. And then on that dashboard, I think we're also going to have like the fees they've been collecting. So it'll track their Thor name and my name, see what the fees are, tally it up for them. This is feedback I'm getting from our new partners wanting some kind of dashboard like this. So this is what the affiliate page will be. It'll be a login page. So, when they come to me or Randy for an API key, we'll create the key and a login name and password to send to them. And then they can go log in, get their key, and the dashboard will be there. So, so then hopefully the widget will be done in the next few weeks too.
Nice.
So that, KOLs, whatever, they want to just throw a widget onto their site, they can. And it should be easy for them to do it. There's all an interface for them to set it all up. And that's it. That's all I got. Unless you guys have any questions for me, if I missed something.
No, that sounds great. Yeah, good job on getting 2 more API keys out, and hopefully we can get more.
Yeah.
And I expect we will, just because we have all these like business development features coming out on THORChain's protocol that will, I think, just kind of arms our BD team to, get us more access to more integration partners and whatnot to get more volume and all that kind of stuff.
Let me
Yeah,
check quick,
absolutely.
because I wanted to do this before and I forgot. I apologize, but I want to see how many we have. I think we're just under 20 that we've given out.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Good start.
And let's see here. We're at 18.
Love it.
18.
And guys, anyone who knows any teams that you're familiar with, reach out to them, right? Like this is
Yeah.
all just effort going on behind the scenes. You can definitely be a part of that.
And I want to say most of these are brand new. Like these are brand new interfaces, wallets, whatever, apps. So it could be good or bad, right? Maybe they don't have an audience. It's going to take time for them to grow.
Yeah, but you want that
Maybe
early quick integration if they take off like a rocket ship, which maybe they will.
exactly.
You never know.
Exactly. Like you guys have been seeing that old Monero bull, my Chinese friend. He's
Yeah.
become popular on Twitter. He's bull posting about buying 10 million of RUNE and stuff. He's like, he's a new fan of THORChain. He's like, this is huge. This is a big deal, guys. He's building a site for the Chinese community.
Nice.
And I gave him an API to go do it all. And he's like, he's like trying to make it work inside China behind the firewalls. And so I'm like, this would be really cool. like, I don't
Mm.
know. Sometimes, guys, I've been in sales now for over almost 20 years. When you get a good prospect, it tells you a lot of things you like to hear. It's like, okay, you just take it with a grain of salt. I know this guy's just blowing smoke up my ass or not, right? So far, I think he's legit. I think he's asking the right questions, and so it'll be really interesting to see what he does. I hope he can build
Yeah.
something. Um, he said he already got a URL, so whenever it's
Do
done,
we support
love to see it.
Chinese on the STO site?
Yep, simplified
Yep.
and traditional Chinese.
Oh, nice.
He actually helped me do some of the translation.
Shishi.
Pardon?
Shishi. Thank
What?
you in Chinese.
Oh, Xi. So really excited for him to get like that. Like you said, just because he's building a brand new interface doesn't mean he doesn't have an audience he can't tap into.
Sure.
And maybe he can get out there, get a little bit of virality in the Monero community in China. That's what I love about this, guys, is that we get THORChain, just get the tentacles everywhere. We don't know where it's going to go and what's going to
Yeah,
take,
sure.
what's going to grow, right? Something's going to hit, something's going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Network effects, baby.
It never hurts, right?
Yeah.
Like it's always the more the merrier.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
is there anything else, Kenton?
no, to say, I think everyone's probably wants me to shut up so we can hear from Chad. What's going on? It's been a quiet
do
week.
wanna-
We've been letting you work. Have your head down. I hope you guys are okay.
Yeah, we've been putting
Yeah.
a lot of effort and a lot of hours in on the dev side for sure. But before I jump into that, I just wanted to there was a comment or a question in the chat. I just wanted to just address real quick, and they were asking about they're very pleased about THORChain, blah blah blah, and they want to ask about like once we add privacy coins, what about regulators and how are we going to handle that and that kind of thing. To be honest, I actually don't think regulation is going to be a problem when it comes to adding private tokens. And the reason why I think that is because THORChain itself is not a mixer. It does not obscure or obfuscate information. And even going to some other privacy token, like the information of where that funds are sent to is publicly known. And so it's really no different from our perspective and what we do as a protocol. It's really no different than Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other asset for that matter in terms of like the privacy aspects to it. And so I wouldn't understand why a regulator would have a problem with this. Because if you have a problem with this, then you also have a problem with Bitcoin, from my perspective. Do you know what I mean? And then it becomes like, and you have a problem with everything, and that just becomes an untenable kind of position. So I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, but higher ups or people in the government are certainly aware of THORChain, and there actually was a process that I had gone through with attorneys to inform and educate the government, the U.S. government at least, about THORChain, what it does, what it doesn't do, how it functions, how it doesn't function. And so they're aware of how decentralized it is, and any attempts to do anything from a regulatory perspective would just be extremely difficult to achieve. Like harder than most chains in the world, I would argue, and it's probably just not worth the time or effort for them. I mean, we've already seen huge amounts of funds, including like over $1 billion via the Bybit, situation a while ago, and and there was not a peep that I heard from regulators by any stretch of imagination. So I really don't think it's going to be much of a problem, to be honest with you. That's just my true sense. But
Well, the same technology can be used by them as well, right? I mean, this is literally something that just does not exist yet. And so, being able to go from layer one to the privacy layer ones, it's just very important infrastructure. And, a lot of businesses, I'm sure they're really interested in that, right? Making private deals, a lot of equity things going on. I mean, there's so much utility for having access to a privacy coin that are perfectly legitimate. Right. And
Yeah.
for those who don't know, I think last time we checked, it was less than 2% of THORChain flows are illicit. So the vast majority of the volume on THORChain is just normal people swapping.
it's
50x more.
99%, 98%, or whatever the hell the number is
Right.
legitimate volume from legitimate people. A very small percentage, is to my knowledge illegitimate, or whatever you want to call it. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
That's why we built THORChain.
I totally agree with you, Chad. there's no obfuscation on THORChain. Any obfuscation happens off chain on a different chain, whether that's
Yeah.
on a privacy token chain or on Ethereum through Tornado Cash or on Bitcoin through CoinJoin, right? Like, so, or Litecoin and MWeb or whatever, right? So like there's just because we don't have those privacy coins on THORChain right now doesn't mean people can't swap on THORChain to then access obfuscation
Right.
somewhere else. So it already exists, it's already happening. And the goal of THORChain is not to obfuscate transactions, which I think the people that have gotten themselves into trouble, I should rephrase that. The people that have been attacked by the authorities, they were directly involved in obfuscation. Even though we believe that's okay and fine and moral, that was their excuse to go after those people. And THORChain's not doing anything to obfuscate. So
Yeah, we're
that's,
actually making additional steps to obfuscate as least as possible,
yeah.
right?
It,
To be as
which THORChain has to for everything to work,
to be
right?
validated. Yeah, and so that everybody knows externally that we're solvent or insolvent, because you can look at the
Yeah.
addresses and whatnot and
And
get that information.
and this is why Bitcoin had to be public in the first place to not trust to verify. That the nodes had to be able to verify the blockchain, so it all had to be public for everyone to see, right? Um, so making it private was like way too hard and difficult. They couldn't figure out how to do it, so they had to make it public.
Yeah. Well,
There's
we have a
another follow-up
go
question, by the way, from the
go ahead,
same
Chad.
person, about asking about, like, if regulators do pay attention and they want to, sanction THORChain. It's actually really hard to sanction THORChain, because it churns every 3 days. And so, like, when the US government sanctioned Tornado Cash, they sanctioned the address, on the Ethereum blockchain that is, the Tornado Cash address, or even maybe it was any specific pools within the Tornado Cash. But for us, we churn every 3 days, and we've been like that from the beginning. That's just part of how we add and remove validators from the network. But as soon as you sanction it, the network churns within 3 days, and then all of a sudden we're operating new addresses. And so, in order to do that, practically speaking, they would have to sanction every 3 days with all of the new addresses, which they could do, but I somehow I doubt that they have the wherewithal or the technical know-how of actually, like, doing that work.
Yeah, and I think with THORChain, it's all open source code, right? And so at the end of the day, I think it's a blessing that THORChain is in the positions it has, with the team that it has, with the ethos and the morals that it has. Like, anyone can take THORChain and fork it and make a version that's not only worse but is less, and when it comes to transparency. So, I mean, it's out there, right? This technology now exists, and technically anyone could do this. It's not easy, but it can be
Mhm.
done.
And when funny videos, when you say avoid being sanctioned, like that's the whole point of code. Like you can't point a gun at it, right? A sanction is only good in the physical world. You can point a gun at it and stop it. Guns can't stop code. So like, you know, the this technology of crypto makes their guns impotent. It has no effect, right? So, THORChain is stateless. Bitcoin is stateless. These are new nation states being created in the digital world, and being decentralized is like our moat, is our protection. And like, if they can't, shut anyone down, how do I say this? If they, like Chad said, it'd be extremely difficult to go after all of the nodes, all of the devs at the same time and tell everyone to stop. Like, it's just arguably not possible. Like, or it's implausible. And
Well, you have to identify them first, and if they're in foreign countries, you have to go through, foreign channels, which is time-consuming and expensive, and
yeah,
it would be an incredible amount of work,
yeah.
you know?
And then even
And it's
worse,
open source code, and someone could just rebuild the network somewhere else. I mean, it's
And
just
somebody
it's
can
a
rebuild somewhere else,
yeah.
yeah.
but it's like, okay, and the US sanctions THORChain. All right, fine. There's 180 other countries in the world that haven't. And like, if you're
Yep.
sitting in the United States, like, you just use a VPN or whatever. Like, you just go around it. Like, I think that's why the US kind of gave up and it's like, this is stupid for us trying to stop it, because it's just going around us. Like we may
You
as
can
well
talk to your
embrace it.
Chinese friend about how to get around firewalls.
Well, they are, because like all this talk about China stopping Bitcoin mining is still arguably 20% the hash rate. Last I read about it, like, and they're all
Yeah.
like doing underground mining and somehow like it's like deep level hiding, how they're hiding it on the electrical grid. They have like deals with hydro dams or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, if there's a will, there's a way. And if there's anything that THORChain has, is a will.
Sure.
Like,
And it's strong. It's a strong
yeah,
will. I mean, stick around. It's
yeah,
still ironclad in my
yeah.
view.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
well, put it this way, if they can somehow stop THORChain, they can easily stop everyone else. Like
Yeah.
we're the low, everyone else is much higher grass than us. It's way easier to stop Chainflip, way easier to stop Near, way easier to stop everyone else like than us. So if they can get us, then everyone else is screwed. And this whole crypto experiment is toast.
Yeah, and I think from any country, any government that embraces what we're doing here, not just THORChain, but they win, right? Just crypto in general. I mean, just the market effects, people like this is the new path. Everyone knows this. It's just the advantages of crypto when it comes to composability and the flowing of equity and all the really cool things you can do with it. The first governments that embrace it, they're going to win. So I just think there's an economic incentive in our favor as well.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I know we're on this here. We do have a question, Chad, and I know everyone wants to hear this. So someone, they're just turning the show to her up to say, is the network back up and running? So Chad, I'm going to kick it to you for the latest on what's going on with the update and all that stuff, because that's something I get asked all the time as well.
No, I would imagine. Yeah. So the quick answer is no, the network is not back up and it's not running. It is still paused temporarily as with myself and the other devs and security individuals are doing our due diligence. As you stated early on, we're not going for speed here necessarily. We're going for correctness. We're going for safety. Obviously, that's what's most important. And so we're taking the required time to be as sure as we reasonably can be as individuals to have the best outcome possible. So a lot of changes have been merged to fix the exploit itself, but as well as other things as well. There was a cut for version 3.19 a few days ago, or maybe Friday, I want to say, maybe Thursday last week. And then the Maya team has spent a few days testing. Did find a couple bugs, a couple patches, nothing too big or pretty small stuff, but want to get a patch anyways. There was a plan to release 3.19 to mainnet today, or at least start the voting process for that today. We did think of another potential possible issue that we hadn't thought of earlier, and so we might spend a little extra time to plug that in one form or another. So it might not come out today; it might be tomorrow. But we are getting very close to releasing 3.19 for the mainnet validators, active validators to adopt. How long that will take, it's up to the community, up to the validators, but I hope it's within a few days after the release is cut or publicly available that we get mainnet up and online again, but not trading yet. Because once you get everybody up to 3.19, you get basically 100% of the nodes running on 3.19. Then we can do things like unhalt signing, enable churning, do a churn to all new vaults, move all the funds over, resume LP actions, resume trading, resume secured assets, trade assets, so forth and so on. It's a multi-step process, and that's going to take a couple days. I'm hoping to kind of go through that process, but we are on our way. We are getting closer and closer, but we're taking our time and when we find things or we find issues or we think of other ways to be concerned about this vector or that vector or this other thing, obviously we want to do our due diligence and dive into the depths of that and make sure it's all good.
100%. Yeah. And like you said last week, this is based on the current information. You're hoping Wednesday or Thursday. Today's Thursday. You guys thought of something else? It's tomorrow. No big deal. What's an extra 24 hours? We're here. Let's do it correctly. So I think that should give people a lot of confidence and feel really happy about that. If it's not hit today, guys, no big deal. Let's do it tomorrow. And if it takes another day, It's okay. No big deal.
Yeah,
Again, we
yeah.
want to do this correctly. People, the industry or anyone really, they'll forgive people for being late. Late, not really late, it's pretty quick, but they will not forgive for being wrong. So very important. Kenton, I think you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask Chad. So the delay or taking longer than we originally expected, it isn't it's not because you're having trouble solving the bug with the hack. Uh, that's done. That's sorted out. It's
Yeah.
now how to bring the network back online properly, and smoothly, and you're still ironing that out to make sure that that works?
Yeah, the actual, like, plugging the hack, that was basically done, like, last week on, like, Monday or Tuesday or something like that. That was done a while ago. But we also wanted to make sure that, you know, that there weren't other attackers and other bolts, right? Like, one bolt got exposed, and theoretically, it's possible that somebody else is looking to expose the other vaults, and we don't have evidence to support that that is the case, but we have to presume that it is, right? And so we had to go through a long process to figure out, well, how are we going to absolutely validate with, as 100% as it's possible to get, which I think we've gotten there, to ensure the other vaults aren't at risk or exposed in one form or another. And so we ended up having to create an entire new process within Bifrost. So we have a key gen and a key sign. Now we have a third thing called key verify to help verify that those other vaults are 100% good right before we start churning and allowing signing and all these things that could expose those vaults if we didn't do that stuff. So it's just taking the extra time needed just to be absolutely sure that we can think of every angle, think of every possible situation, and spending days, thinking through as many things as we can to make sure all that stuff is safe.
Great.
That's the right answer. That's the
Yep.
correct answer. Just do it right, do it safe. That's what everyone wants. And again, everybody, thank you very much for your patience. And I know Kenton mentioned it early in the podcast. Chad, I know you guys have been working so hard. Everyone knows that too. Thank you very much for working hard. This has been a shared effort, but I know the devs are the ones who are grinding things out. But everyone's been keeping it together. So that's really good. Okay, this is so funny. Someone just posted this. The network is paused, guys. Okay, so we're going to restore normal functionality. So, assign a value to that. But I'm going to this is a question, and I did get asked this in a separate question. I'm going to bring it up, Chow. When will XMR be active? So I'll give it to you.
Yeah, good question. A fair question. We were planning for earlier this month, but obviously that was delayed for reasons that I think is fairly obvious. We can't add new chains, by the way, in general without churning. And we can't churn until we patch the situation that we're in. And the next chain we're adding is Zcash. And that might actually be delayed a little bit further just because a couple of days ago, there was a critical vulnerability that was discovered in Zcash. And they released a new patch that basically breaks a lot of things for everybody else, including us. And so we have to make a small change. It's really just a one-line change in our Bifrost implementation, so it's not like a big deal. But we have to push that out before Zcash can be adopted and turned on. Otherwise, when we broadcast a signature, nothing will happen. So we have to finish with Zcash first to answer the XMR question. We have to finish the Zcash first. That's the next thing to be added, which that's going to be. We might have to cut like a 319.1 for this purpose, or maybe we'll squeeze it in 319. Possibly, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. And then once that's done, we have to finish testing on Monero on ChainNet. And the biggest problem we're running into right now is actually just getting our hands on some XMR to test because it's, for reasons that might be fairly obvious, it's actually kind of hard to get your hands on a stack of XMR, which is kind of the problem that we're solving in a matter of speaking, right? Which is
with Cake Wallet or Unstoppable Wallet, can't you buy XMR within the wallet?
I don't know. I don't have Cake Wallet or Unstoppable Wallet personally, but we're working with some people to help get some Monero into the ChainNet team's hands so they can start doing some testing and validation and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we might find bugs or issues, and of course, those require patches and changes. So when you ask me the question of like how long to XMR, I can give them my best estimate, which I would say at this point, I would put it at probably by the end of this month, I'm going to guess. But that goes with kind of the caveat of like, I don't know how many bugs there are. So, and I don't know how long those takes are to patch and merge and all that stuff. I don't really know that until we've validated it and found all the bugs and that we can find at least, and patch all the bugs that we can find, and carry on from there. But the quick answer to your question is, I would expect to see it by the end of this month.
Wow, that's awesome. How much XMR would you need to do proper testing? Is it a lot, like a few thousand?
No,
Or
like
not a lot.
like
That's
a
not a lot.
like,
I'm sorry, a little. I meant.
yeah, $1,000 worth of XMR is probably enough. If there's a community member that would like to sell us some of their XMR, maybe that would be an easy thing. Just like
Do you-
DM me or
Yeah, Chad, I think someone just needs to download Unstoppable Wallet. You can buy XMR within the wallet. Just have to put some
well, then
Bitcoin on
maybe
it.
that's the easiest way to do it. I didn't know, but that would require KYC, I would assume, and that
No.
kind of thing, or no?
No. Because they're using Let's Exchange.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's like they don't ask KYC. It's like Change Now and Changely. Like they don't ask for KYC until they freeze your trade. Then they ask for it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you guys. It's like I'm sure it'll be fine. So yeah, you download Unstoppable Wallet. You can swap
Or maybe
Bitcoin from
we'll just do
Monero
that
there. Yeah.
to just get like 1,000 XMR or $1,000 worth of it, just so
Yeah.
we can start
Yeah.
doing trades and swaps and whatever else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm checking my Kraken, and apparently I can buy it. I wonder if you can send it off. Maybe that's where the limitation is. You can't have it sent off to SEX. I don't know. I can look into it. But,
Yeah.
maybe I'll just send you some. Whatever. Anyway. Okay. Cool.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. No problem. Okay. Let me see here. That was pretty much the main question. People will just, I've been asked when so many times. When, and I understand everybody. So, but it sounds like soon. That's the answer,
Yeah.
which is always the answer. Soon.
Which I'm super excited about, like getting it back
yes.
online so we can get back to the road, like the roadmap we were on before, in shipping XMR and Zcash and dynamic fees is something I'm excited about. And
So, okay, with this exploit, go ahead, Kenton. I'll let you go.
I wanted to keep talking about the exploit a bit more, about the solution.
Sure.
Okay, Denny, is that?
That was, I was kind of going there. Go ahead. And I'll spin off.
So I just want to confirm, there's all that, the crypto that was stolen, the 10 million worth of Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, had equal amount of RUNE paired with it, but the RUNE was still in the network. Have we decided, is that RUNE being burned? Is the RUNE going to the reserve? Where is that RUNE going? What's happening to that?
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you. It's not so much like it's just the RUNE has to be, to be honest, I forget off the top of my head. I have to go back and look at the code chain to see how that's handled.
Okay. And then some people have asked about the pool prices. We've got the price of Bitcoin and RUNE and all the other cryptos, everything. It's gonna be totally out of whack when THORChain goes online.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be like the ARBs are stealing all making all this money? Is there a way to fix the price before we go online? How do we deal with that?
I mean, people shouldn't be running around with their hair on fire on that thing. Like, if we were just online this whole time, the same thing would have happened if we just go online now. Do you know what I mean? Like, the prices have moved from, practically there would be less trading now than there would be before, because Bitcoin's price went down and then up and then down to its current price. And you would have arbed that entire time versus just arbing kind of more like a straight angle down. Does that make sense?
So it's not the delta, because it's a huge delta doesn't mean they're necessarily going to make a lot of money. It's the amount of up and down. The volatility is where they make more money.
Yeah, I mean, ARBs are going to make money. Like, when you're right to say that when trading is turned on again, there's just going to be a lot of volume, probably mostly through secured assets predominantly, but maybe like layer ones as well, that are going to rush to correct the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever the other pools are. And that will be profitable for them, but that's just like, that's what ARBs do. That's how they get paid. They get paid to input price information into the pools in some sense, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just normal operation. So the idea that arbs are going to profit when we turn back on is just like, yeah, that's every day. That's how this works.
But everyone, do you think this opens an opportunity for the average Joe out there
Sure.
to be an arb too, to participate in this? And
But potentially, but the struggle with that is two things. One is the fastest way to do that, and obviously fast goes first, like first come, first serve, right? So you want to be first. If you don't already have secured assets, by the time you acquire secured assets, there's a good chance that the pools are already going to be corrected before that even occurs. If you do have secured assets, you just have to be faster than the bots, which you are not as a human. So unless you build some sort of, you could use Claude code or whatever to generate your own little bot, to do the trade as fast as possible, and maybe that'll work. But you don't. If you do that, then you also you have to make sure you do it correctly. You don't just swap into the pool immediately, and without protection, so you don't overcorrect the pool with the price to go down to whatever the Bitcoin's price is now, and then push it even further down, because then you'd be losing money in that scenario. So I would not advise your average Joe just to jump into ChatGPT and just generate some random script and whatever. That you might do it incorrectly and you might lose money.
okay, this with the THORChain doesn't. They don't. Does THORChain order orders first come first serve, or based on the slippage of the pool?
Yeah, it's based upon basically the predominantly the size of the trade. Right. So in this case, this is kind of this is why it was designed the way that it's designed in some ways, is that if there's a pool differential, the price is too low, right? The Bitcoin price is too low right now relative to what it was when it was paused, which is 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And you're making a $1,000 trade to correct that price, right? You will pay less in fees, right, than somebody who's doing $900, right? So, but in order for me to get ahead of you, I'm going to do $1,000, $1,100, for example, right? But I'm going to theoretically, I would pay more in fees. This is assuming non-streaming swap, by the way. I would pay more in fees, but I would get ahead of you, but I would take less of a profit by doing so, right? And then somebody else said, well, I'll do 1,200. And they're going to get, instead of getting a $100 profit, they're now going to get a $80 profit. And the next person, I'll do for $1,300 trade, and they'll get a $60 profit. And so it kind of creates a bidding war, in effect. This is why it was designed originally back in the day. Obviously, streaming swaps is a different world. It's more complicated now. But I'm just trying to keep it the simpler way of thinking about it, is that yes, you're going to want to have your trade be larger so that you can beat out everybody else and actually get the trade and make the $100 that you would make or whatever the number is.
And that's important too, because the bigger the swap, that actually it goes first in the order, and that helps prevent MEV attacks, right? That's a simple design choice that prevents people.
Because in a MEV attack, most commonly, somebody's doing a trade from this asset to this asset, and me as the MEV or the validator, I would insert a trade before you and insert a trade after you. This is called a sandwich attack. And I would push the price against you before, then you trade against your best interests, and then I trade underneath after you, and I have a trade before and after. But because in THORChain you can't order the trade order, but you can on Ethereum. Ethereum, you can just put any transaction in any order that you want to. There's no priority by the protocol itself, the layer one. And so our protocol does prioritize the order through a consensus mechanism, so that validators cannot choose to put this order first and that order second and that order third, like you can on Ethereum or other exchanges. The only really way that you could theoretically MEV attack on THORChain is by excluding transactions in a block rather than structuring the block in a certain order.
That's much harder to do.
It's possible, but that's generally not how MEV works. You don't MEV attack by not putting things into the block. Usually it's by manipulating the block and actually do that. But theoretically, another way of doing it is if 10 orders come in and they all want to get into the next block, and I'm the validator, I can just ignore the 9, include the 1 that's mine, and then that's a way of achieving it. But you couldn't do a MEV in that way. You couldn't do a sandwich attack in that kind of way.
I've tried to explain to crypto savvy people that there's no MEV extraction on THORChain, and they're like, "Well, how does that work?"
Yeah,
Like, they don't believe me. And
they
just
don't
like,
believe you.
Yeah, I've had that same
like
problem.
the layer 1 to layer 1. They're like, "Well, how does that work?" They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't think it's
It's
possible.
funny.
It's
It's so
like,
funny that there are so many things that we innovated on this protocol that's like, for us, it's like old news. It's been around for years, right? Almost since the beginning. Like literally, like the MEV thing was true on day one, right? Like it wasn't even something we added later. And at that time, back then, MEV started for minor extracted value. Now it stands for like minimal value. Like they changed the acronym to mean something that just sounds nicer, because the Ethereum community is just like, well, there's no way to stop MEV. Like we're just kind of fucked. So we'll just like spin it, and like MEV is good, everybody. And then we're gonna build these massive MEV operations so that everybody can participate in MEV, not just the validators. And since everybody has access to MEV, there is no MEV, and MEV is good. Like that's kind of the argument that they've made over the years, because it's acknowledged that like there's no way to stop MEV. MEV's going to happen on Ethereum. Everybody's fucked. So we're just going to pretend that it's okay and just build massive apparatuses to make MEV even easier to achieve on these protocols.
it's like the Russians saying like we know they're lying. They know we know they're lying. We know that they know that we know they're lying. You know, it's this big long thing, right? It's like everybody knows everyone's lying, but everyone just keeps lying. And
Yeah.
it's funny.
Well, here's the thing. If someone thinks that Chad Bareford is lying, I would encourage you, please try to MEV attack THORChain as aggressively as you possibly can. Send as many Ethereum transactions or whatever you want to do. MEV attack us. Please do that. Make us liars. Show it. Be done. Please use a minimum $500 million. I'm sure you'll get it at some point. Please do that. Maybe $1 billion.
Money.
Just keep making
trading.
those switch. Just keep doing it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's funny how many times we've made significant improvements in this industry, and most of the industry is not even aware that it even exists. And then maybe that's my fault for not like broadcasting it louder or something like this, but we have actually solved significant problems in the industry as a whole and made significant advancements to the AMM model itself, to the point where we have like dynamic fees. It's even possible. It would have been ludicrous a year ago or 2 years ago, but it's now possible, right? Even our XYK algo, our slip-based fee model, is not the same one that Uniswap uses, or Bancor and those guys. Our math is actually quite better than our competitors, and it's much more expensive to price manipulate and all these things. It's honestly, it's a much better math, and people don't even know that, but it is. It's been answered for years.
This is my job, Chad, to start getting this message out there and start doing it. This was frustrating with this hack, because I was just getting ready to that was like phase 2 for me. Start getting our propaganda out there and just flooding the net. And so I'm set back a bit on that. But with market across, we'll definitely get some positive, news out there for sure. And then after that, after I'm done with them, my goal is to have like at least once a week a THORChain propaganda article being published online, like not just on our blog, but like on Defiant or Cointelegraph or whatever, on some platform, and we just get constant good THORChain news out there, and we'll get the message out, we'll get the word out, slowly but surely.
That was actually the thing I was talking to, talking about the exploit here. And I know you mentioned some things in Bifrost, Chad. Sorry, I don't exactly remember what you said, but, people are wondering, they're curious, THORChain's always improving, just like we talked about the math, having, been able to configure fees for integrators and all this stuff. And I know you still don't want to talk about exactly how the exploit happened for obvious reasons, but can you talk about things that you think on the THORChain side that we can improve given this new moment that we've experienced, and yeah, basically, I'll kick it to you.
Yeah. I mean, we had a meeting. I'm just gonna bring it up on my other browser here. We had a meeting with the team earlier today with everybody, and we spent probably the most amount of time just talking about like what changes we can make to the protocol and many different areas and aspects to further secure things or whatever. And the list right now is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 11 ideas that we're not going to take all of them. Some of them are probably going to get tossed, but probably a majority would be taken to improve things. Specific to this issue is that there was changes to the upstream of the TSS library over multiple changes over I think over a year of time that were very minuscule changes that really were insignificant, that the THORSEC team at that time just I didn't think it was important to pull in because those issues were not important to pull in, to be fair, at the time. But if you combine all three of those things which happened over like a long period of time and you add them all together, it creates a much larger issue. So I think like the kind of one of the lessons learned in some sense is to pull in the upstream more frequently than we were doing before. But that's also problematic because the upstream can also have issues. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like a double-edged sword. There was a change in the upstream, like for example, there's a change in the upstream for like a V4 of the TSS lib from Binance that they just coincidentally are making changes as this was happening. And our team had found a few significant issues in their code change that they're trying to make. And so you can like, this is the irony here, is like you can either pull in issues or don't pull in solutions. Like that's kind of like, that's what I mean when I say it's like a double-edged sword. And I think the problem we had that we should be moving better on in future is that the THORSEC team was really security researchers. They're not cryptographers. And so I don't think they probably did not have as deep of an understanding as they could have to really understand the changes that are being made. And so we can't just like, it makes me very nervous, and it shouldn't make anybody nervous, to just arbitrarily just like pull in whatever changes that's happening. That's just like, it's a recipe for a backdoor, right? So today we have a different security team than it was back then. And the newer security team does have cryptographers on the team, whereas the old one did not. And so we do have the talent required to do a deeper stuff. And we're just going to make that as part of the standard process and procedures.
I love it. And for those who did not see last week's episode, that was Soda Labs, and they were on the show with us. One of the persons, Asif, was, and it was a really great conversation, you guys. And we had a very interesting. And so, yes, I mean, I think that's absolutely great because cryptography, I think you've said this many times, Chad. It's all like when it comes to being a developer, there's so many different kinds. It is a whole other can of worms.
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not a cryptographer, and Asif that was on last week knows about cryptography, but he's not a cryptographer. Like there's cryptography is a math thing, right? And security is a technology thing. It's different fields entirely of study, right? And there are people who specialize in certain types of cryptography, like GG20, for example. We had somebody help us out in the situation who was one of the foremost experts, or a couple of actually the most foremost, we actually, including the team that created GG20, invented and wrote the original paper back in 2020. But we had a few people that were like industry experts in this specific of implementations of GG20 specifically to help us dive into the depths and find what is the actual path of avenue. Because the last thing we wanted to do is find some exploit that wasn't the exploit, right? Fix that, thinking it was the exploit, but it actually wasn't. It was some other problem or bug, and then continue on thinking that we solved the problem. And so we wanted to make sure make sure that the data we did have about what happened on the protocol but prior to the incident, that it all aligns with the bugs that we found, and it just makes sense, and all the pieces kind of like fit together really smooth and really cleanly. And then on top of that, we also, looked for other issues, and we spent an exorbitant amount of time, myself and others, to find other potential problems or bugs, not only in our code base, but it also in the upstream Binance's TSS library, which again, I mentioned, we did find issues in that in their library as well, which, you know, we will responsibly report, you know, when the timing is right. But like that, it's a lot of time and effort. And even after doing all that, we still want to spend more time, which is why the TSS lib is like currently in a closed source state, because the security team wanted to spend even more time to do a deeper dive, right? And they wanted to have that extra security just for a little while until they finish their process, which will probably take like 2-3 weeks, something like this. So probably in the next release, like 3.20, we'll probably go back to open source again.
Yeah, that's great. And I know people will be really happy to see that because, you know, that's definitely part of the ethos. I don't mean to recycle old material, but there was something from last week that was talked about. I thought was super interesting and also very enlightening is the specific attack vector. This was a very nuanced, a very niche attack that involves a very deep understanding of cryptography, like world-leading cryptography. And it took many days having all these experts just to figure out what the attack path was. And the one thing I found that was super fascinating or very revealing was when Asif said, you know, we knew the attack path. We tried to spoon feed it to various AI models and they could not duplicate this attack. And so I think this is something, this was an individual or entity or group of individuals, whatever it is. This was a very sophisticated attack against THORChain. They knew precisely what they were doing. This wasn't like some slop AI code thing that some guy hacked together in 2 days and got turned in and made it happen. This was very pinpoint. Wild, absolutely wild. So I'm very glad to have cryptographers on the team that are experts. And hopefully once they get, I know they're working hard. I don't want to disturb them, but I think it'd be cool if they're okay with it. Maybe have them on Thursday so we can chat with them. I'd love to talk with them.
Yeah.
If they're interested. No pressure there whatsoever. Not a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You think we could get the G&G people on the podcast?
That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, I mean, I can ask them. I mean, they might say no. I have no idea, but
I
we can get Steven and Rosario, I think the name is.
I don't know. I'd almost feel bad interviewing them because you guys don't know anything about cryptography. What do you think me and Denny know?
Well, it'd be cool if you were here too, Chad. If you were here too, like people love that interaction between like a lead developer like yourself and a cryptographer, and that interplay would be super good content and would be educational.
Yeah, no, I think it could be valuable to talk to them or another professional cryptographer about, you know, at the time when GG18 came out, to my knowledge, it was the only methodology of achieving, you know, a decentralized, without using multi-sigs and whatnot, a way of doing that, of like a multi-user, you know, MPC. And GG20 came out eventually, then eventually like Frost came out and like other kind of methodologies of other forms of cryptography for other forms of signing formats, whatnot. But, you know, it'd be interesting to have the conversation with them, like, well, why did you guys want to work on this problem? And what interests you about it? And, you know, how long did it take you? Where did you take a wrong turn and you spent way too much of your time going down an avenue that just wasn't going to work out? And, you know, how did you figure out that wasn't going to work out? And how did you arrive to the final kind of thing? And then what was better about GG20 versus GG18? Or we're thinking of moving off of GG20, you know, and we've been talking about DKLS, we've been talking about this, talking about that. Like, what do you think? What would you advise this community, you know, about that, you know? And so it can be either the GG guys, or it could be like, you know, we can invite another cryptographer, or I can talk to Yuda from Coinbase. He's like the director of cryptography at Coinbase, very smart guy. And maybe he can be on the show and just talk about cryptography in general and the state of it. And, you know, like we've been talking about one of the ideas we actually have at the 11 points that I referred to earlier. One of the kind of crazy ideas we've been thinking about, which is really fascinating, but kind of scary in another kind of way, is that to get better security, to have the vaults actually be a 2 of 2 multi-sig. And each node actually runs a GG20 and a DKLS. And they both create signatures for the 2 of 2 multi-sig on the Bitcoin blockchain. See what I mean? That makes sense? Yeah. So like in order to break it, you got to find a 0-day of GG20 and a 0 day of DKLS, and then combine those two together to create two malicious signatures, and then broadcast that to the multi-sig of Bitcoin or
Kenton,
Ethereum.
I know you sort of mentioned this last week, Kenton. You were talking about using multiple forms of cryptography, and I think Asif was like kind of like hesitant on that, but that's kind of, I think that sounds, if I understand correctly, it sounds much stronger, for sure.
Yes.
It was, so wait, is it wait, is the 2 of 2? Wait, how does that work? It's so there's be the, let's say it's Asgard Vault. There's 20, and the 2 of 2 on both cryptographies to do a signature on TSS, right? Am I understanding correctly? Or
let
how
me
am I?
explain differently. A multi-sig, just to get to us, so people understand what this is a specific type of wallet on the block, in the Bitcoin blockchain or Ethereum or whatever, that requires multiple signatures to move any funds. Not a single signature, but more than one signature. Most commonly, it's like a 2 of 3 or a 4 of 5 or a 5 of 10 or whatever. Like you need 4 signatures out of 10 potential signees or whatever. For this, it would be a 2 of 2, meaning you need both signatures. And to provide the signature for each of those separate wallets. So there's a wallet that is the multi-sig. There's a wallet for the GG20, and then there's a wallet for DKLS, for example. So they both produce two different signatures, and then they broadcast it to the chain, and then it condenses, in a sense, both of those signatures to the multi-sig, and the multi-sig sends the funds out, if that makes sense.
So we'd still have, I think I know what you're asking, Danny. We'd still have an Asgard vault, let's say 20 nodes. The key, instead of generating a single key for that vault, for that address, 2 keys would be generated.
Yes.
And 20 nodes would have one of the keys under DKLS, and those same 20 nodes would have the other key on GG20.
Correct.
And so we still have 20 nodes in one Asgard vault, but now each node has two key shares that they got to combine to do. That does sound huge. That does sound like an order of magnitude.
Yeah, it's a lot harder. Yeah, and we kind of do the same already on THORChain. Like, so right now, when we generate the private key for an individual node, that node broadcasts it on chain. Like, we actually keep the private key on the blockchain so that you can recover it later if you lose your key, whatever. But that's encrypted through 3 different methodologies of cryptography. So you need to, in order to gain access to it, you would need to break 3 very, like, I think, AES 128 might be one of them. I think Blowfish is one of them, and I can't remember the other third one was. And so in order to gain access to it, you have to break through 3 security doors and have 3 O days for 3 cryptographies, which would be, that would be so fucking wild if somebody could, do that. Because that's just having one of those doors broken would be a minefield of, being kind of incredible on its own, let alone having 3 like sequentially. So we kind of take the idea already, in a different kind of way, but producing a multi-sig with a 2 of 2 or maybe even a 3 of 3, depending upon some ideas, would be another way of achieving this to give much more security. The problem, obviously, is that you greatly increasing the complexity of the protocol. And so when we do a keygen, we're actually doing 2 keygens per vault instead of 1 keygen. And then you have to produce 2 signatures. So that requires more time. So right now, we do a key sign in 15 seconds right now. And we would do 15 seconds plus DKLS. So that's another 6 seconds or so. So that's going to increase the time it takes to do an actual signature from 15 seconds to 20-ish, 23 seconds, whatever the number would be. So it's complicated. And when things get complicated, it also becomes inherently more fragile, right? That's just the nature of things. The more complicated thing is, the more surface area is, the more opportunity for something to go wrong or astray and cause things not to get signed or problems to occur. That's kind of the thing that you have to weigh in that scenario. But it's an idea. It's an interesting one. I don't know if we're going to do it or not quite yet. That's just one of the ideas that's being discussed, along with 10 other concepts that probably more than half of these will be adopted. But I'm not sure about this one. But it is an interesting concept of doing that, and to be double security in a matter of speaking.
But it would, this is, sorry, Danny,
I'm sorry. So I had multiple questions. You answered all but one of them, Chad. So obviously, if we're going to have GG20 as part of the mix, that means we would have to have multiple Asgards and just be the same structure we are now. We couldn't do a mono vault, which I'd be fine with, if my understanding
Right.
correctly. Because
You wouldn't be able to because you're still using GG20 and GG20 you
Right.
really can't do more than 20 nodes. You can
Right.
do 100 if you want to, but it would just
But it'd be
take
slow. Yeah.
it'd be incredibly slow. It wouldn't be functional. So you still have to do like 6 vaults or whatever the number is until some other new cryptography comes out that, is another option. Like, like you can use Frost, which is a Schnorr-based signature system, against Bitcoin, even though it's an ECDSA based system, because Taproot, which was added to Bitcoin, I think in 2021, I think. I forget what year it was actually added. That you can sign with Schnorr signatures. And so I'm not sure if you can have a multi-sig that has one of the signatures being ECDSA and one of the signatures being Schnorr. My guess is no, but I'm not quite sure.
Would this be something a cryptographer would know? Maybe we have him on the show.
A cryptographer probably would know that, or at least maybe a Bitcoin expert who's an
There you go.
expert in
Awesome.
Bitcoin's core base.
Perfect. Kenton, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you didn't. No, that's good. But this would only apply to blockchains that support multi-sig addresses and wallets, right? Like, because this was
Correct.
originally the design for THORChain with TSS, is that they could handle all chains because not all chains offer multi-sig.
Yes. Yeah. Most do. And in some cases, like there was a time when Monero said, don't use our multisig. It's very flawed. It's very exposed. There were the active recommendation from the dev team at that time, maybe it's better today, but at that time was don't use it. When we talk about using multisigs in the very early days of THORChain's history, part of the issue, not just that multisigs are not supported on every chain, but also the amount of support that each individual blockchain has of multisigs is different. So each individual blockchain will have a limit of how many potential signers there can be for an individual wallet address. I think for like Bitcoin, it's like 25 or some number like this, or whatever the hell the number was. And of course, we wanted something more than that. We thought we were going to have like hundreds of, of vaults and whatnot. And so to have on this chain it's 25, on that chain it's 8, and that chain it's 17, and that chain is 59, just creates a clusterfuck of a situation that becomes very hard to reason about and secure. And like, how do you, it just becomes too complicated in a manner of speaking. Whereas GG20 just like removes the whole conversation, right? It just made it's just every chain's the same, everything's treated the same. Just makes it so much simpler and easier to handle and reason about, and that was kind of why we went in that direction to begin with.
Makes sense. There's someone, Oliver made some interesting comments. I'm just going to read out for the audience here. So this was before when we were talking about GG20 and DKLS permutation or whatever. And they said, you could even rotate the signers under the churn and keep the assets in the same address. That's massive to emulate long-lasting inbound addresses, and long-lasting addresses are required for institutions that may swap from a multisig, which may take 2 to 3 business days to be fully signed. I don't know if you had any thoughts around that. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So what he's talking about, or she's talking about, is what's called a reshare. And reshared, how can I? So imagine that. Imagine you had a line on a graph, right? And that line is just like this line right here. And in order to sign a transaction, you need to be able to specify this line. And you can define this line by any 2 points on this line. It could be here and here, it could be here and here, it could be here and here, here and here. It could be anywhere. But as long as it describes this line at this angle, at this location on the graph, that you can generate the signature to move funds, right? And so, but these 2 dots we have, that you and I have, me and Denny have two dots, we can do that. But we can do a reshare, which is we give a new dot that we create between us or after us or before us or whatever it is, any dot on this line, and we can give it to Kenton. So now instead of me and Denny having these 2 dots, it's this dot and this other dot that Kenton has. And they can generate the same line on the graph, right? So that's really how this works, and how cryptography works in general, is using dots on a graph to generate either a single dot, which is a single signature, a line, which is 2 of 3 or 2 of 5 or 2 of 9 or 2 of 100, doesn't really matter. And then you have a U's that create a U shape, which is 3, and then the line gets more and more complicated for the number of signees that are required. So what they're saying is, if you have a line here, you can just create more dots. And you keep the same address. You don't need to churn. You don't need to change the addresses. You create new dots and you give it to the new validators. The old validators leave. That's fine. They don't have to be around anymore. But the new ones got a new spot on this line, and they can sign things just like the previous people can, even though it's not the same signing set. It's a different signing set of individuals or nodes. And we didn't need to do a churn, and we didn't need to generate new addresses. This is what a reshare functionally is trying to achieve. The problem with doing this, though, the issue is that when you have this and you have these 2 dots, and then Kenton comes on and we give him a dot, and then Sodamax comes on and we give him a dot, and then another person comes on, we give him a dot, and then the first 2 people will churn out. Me and Denny are gone. Right? But now me and Denny are outside of the network. We're no longer active validators, but we have 2 dots. And so we can generate the signature between us, and we can steal all the funds. And this is obviously a really big and significant problem. You obviously don't want people to leave with a key that is valid, that is still workable, that will still function, but they're no longer validating the network and they no longer have a bond. Uh-oh, now we're in trouble, right? Now people can steal funds. So you have to figure out a way around that particular problem. And we've opted out of trying to engineer a way out of that particular issue. I know Near does it that way. Near uses reshares, but they have a very different situation where they don't churn. They've got 9 validators that are all friends. They all know each other. They're not anonymous people. They're not random people. They're it's a closed system. And I know they want to move to 21 validators, and they have to reshare to do that. And if the old people leave, that becomes a problem, right? I think they address it through like something called TEE, which is a hardware cryptography thing, and we're not going to get into the depths of it because it doesn't really pertain to the conversation. But like, reshares are interesting because it makes you churn less, and you can still have validators churn in and out without actually doing the actual churn part. But if enough people leave and you haven't done a churn, those people can come together and sign and steal funds.
Thank you for the question, Oliver. And I think it's great that you asked that, because it just goes to show you how much thought has gone into THORChain, given its, the complexities and all the edge cases you have to think about. I mean, it's so much thought. So that was awesome.
But
thank you.
one more addition, because the last part of his statement was that, long-lasting inbound addresses are important, for institutions. They may want to swap, and that takes 2 to 3 days, business days. If that is an issue, this, to be honest, is the first time I've heard of this to be the case. Maybe he's absolutely right in what he's saying. I don't know. If that is an issue, we can just change how often the churn is, from 3 days to 6 days to 9 days to a month and a half. It's an arbitrary number, right?
Yep.
And maybe that's the solution to the problem that he's trying to address. It just churn less often.
Yeah. 3 days has just kind of been something we settled on. I remember we went to 7 days for a little bit, and then people were like, "That's way too long. That's way too long." Then we went to, but I
go
didn't think it was
7
that
days.
big.
I don't think it'd be as fine. I mean, like the trade-off that you have to make in that scenario is that once you're in the network, how long does it take before you get churned out, right? Like, how many churns does it take? And
Right.
so I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's a while. And so how long do you want to leave people in the network so they can't take their profits, right? And we talked about this idea very recently, about the idea of allowing nodes to take profits, not the principal of the bond, but just like
Right.
whatever they've earned. So it's not going to be like, not going to be running in the network. It's a small amount of money, and be able to take their profits, each week or whatever, so they can pay the bills and, whatever. So maybe that would address that problem. And then we can turn it to 7 weeks or 7 days or whatever we want to do. And then you can just churn out when you want, when you just do like a leave command. I would like to leave the network, and then the next churn, you get, churned out. That's kind of the question, is like, how long do we want nodes to be stuck in the protocol?
It's about, with around 100 nodes and 3-day churn, it's about 6 months. Is kind of
about what it is.
It definitely changes, because nodes that are older than you could leave voluntarily, then you jump up the queue, right? But
Yep.
a rule of thumb is about 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's also the question of like, I'm a node, I want to leave. And I want to get my bond back. And if it takes 3 months to churn, it's like say then you have to wait 3 months as a node operator to get your bond back. Is that agreeable, or is that too much, too long? Like, how do we feel about that? So that becomes part of the kind of equation or the calculus of like how long we want our churn to be. 3 days is probably like the shortest it can be. I'd be open to doing like a week, right? That would be reasonable to me. We would also save a bunch of money because every time we churn, we have to like spend a bunch of gas to move all the assets from, vaults A to vaults B. And that's like takes hours and hundreds of transactions to make that happen, right? And so we could save a little gas money, that way as well. So
I believe that was D5 Sammy. He really wants a week, I think. And I think that was his reasoning, was to save that money on all the fees being transferred.
yeah, that's a valid argument, right?
Yeah.
I would be okay with changing it to a week.
We have a question, not to change the subject randomly here, but we do have a question from the Desert Links, Joel, our friend over at Dash. And it's sort of like this question can apply to my protocol as well, but they want to know, Chad, what information is required to provide liquidity at the protocol level, similar to the memo field for a swap? More? Question mark? Less? Question mark? That's it.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So, like a direct, maybe I'm assuming the way I interpret it is like a direct relationship from a protocol to the THORChain. They want to provide a liquidity to seed a pool, as I'm thinking. Like maybe the steps. I'm thinking that's what it means. And Joel, please clarify if I butchered that. That's my understanding.
Yeah, you're asking how to add liquidity to a pool, if I understand correctly?
That's the way. Yeah, at the protocol level, like this is a direct, like an integrator, like. Yeah, that's my understanding of the question. Sorry if I butchered that, Joel.
I hope I understand the question correctly, but the quick answer is that assuming the pool is not created yet, which is this is what the Treasury does whenever we add a new chain like Zcash, for example. You have to send a Zcash transaction, send a RUNE transaction, and they both get added. They both stay out of the pool until both are acquired, and then it's in the same block. They both get added to the pool, and the pool is created. And theoretically, the RUNE and the Zcash are worth the same amount in dollar terms, whatever that is in coin quantity doesn't really matter. It's just they're equal to each other, and then you can just add liquidity via like a regular old wallet. Any wallet will allow you to do that.
Okay, perfect.
Joel, you can use the memo.thorchain.org, and you can basically that memo page. You can do any interaction with THORChain manually, so including pooling. But I am making a pool.thorchain.org page that'll be easy for people to connect their wallet, add liquidity, withdraw liquidity. So hopefully that'll be done here in the next week or two type thing. Should be done well before Dash goes live, so you shouldn't have to worry about it. But Joel, you're one of the people I'm thinking about to get that pool page going so that when we have these new L1s join THORChain, it's easy for you guys to manage your LP position.
Yeah, I mean, I would say let the Treasury create the pool because that's a little bit of a harder process, slightly so. But once the pool is created, anybody can add liquidity who wants to have liquidity. Just keep in mind, like, it doesn't really pay anything right now. Just to be upfront and clear and honest with you and the rest of the community. In this current moment, being LP doesn't really generate much revenue.
I've gone over this with new potential L1s integrate THORChain. Nobody has an issue with it.
Yeah, as an L1, I don't think you would really give two shits. Because you're just wanting to be liquidity. They don't care if it's profitable or not. They just want liquidity to exist.
Yeah.
But as an LP, if I was an LP into a pool, not only am I not producing income because it's not generating any yield, you're being exposed to the impermanent loss of whatever the impermanent loss is. And so really it's a negative, right? Like you're not producing in revenue, but you are losing from impermanent loss unless just out of pure coincidence, the ratio between the two assets that you started with and the ratio that between assets that when you withdraw are the same number, then there's no impermanent loss that you experience. So because you can have impermanent loss that goes a certain direction and then it comes back and you never had you don't have impermanent loss in that scenario.
Yeah.
So if you just coincidentally Rune's price and Dash's price went up 1-to-1 with each other, or down 1-to-1 with each other, like this, which almost never happens.
Yeah.
Well, they can still make an asymmetric LP ad, right? And so when they withdraw, I mean, so if they only wanted to provide the one asset, the pool's created, they make an asymmetric ad that automatically converts it. So if Rune outperforms, their position would do better. They're not getting much fees, hardly any fees at all. Maybe
No, because doing a single-sided does not just expose you to one single-sided. It's just you're just adding to one side of the pool, and then arbs will arb it so that like it kind of like it like they'll like level out. You will lose some amount of the money that you put in just from the arbs.
Right, yes. Right.
Which is probably fairly close to just doing a swap or a trade, I would suspect. I've never done the math, but it's probably not too far off from there. And then you're exposed to both assets, and whatever they're moving, and just doing what they're doing. But when you withdraw, you can only withdraw like one side.
Right.
And so you just withdraw your value times 2, because you're gotten both sides, so to speak. And so you would just withdraw from one asset. Once again, it's just doing another, you're getting a little bit of a hit when you do that. It would be the same if you just did a swap or something.
Like I would think we need to encourage these guys, these L1s, to LP what do you call it, balanced 50-50. Because if they come in with, if the pool is only $5,000 deep and they come in with $100,000 single
that
side,
would be expensive.
like
It'd
be
You would
crazy.
get fucked in that scenario.
That would
Yeah, they should go buy the Rune, with some Bitcoin or whatever, some other token,
Yes.
and then come to THORChain with your, say, Dash and Rune, deposit it like for like. There'll be no slippage.
We talked about this kind of funny idea a while ago that just never got prioritized, of like being able to do like an asymmetric ad in a way that was like non-immediate. And so you would just like have like pending liquidity on the Rune side or the asset side, doesn't matter which side. And when there's a trade that goes through, instead of the arbs arbing, the pending liquidity just gets dropped in, the amount that's required to return the pool to the price it was before the trade or swap, so that it slowly it uses natural trades passing through the network as a way of just kind of like bleeding it in slowly, so that you pay much less in fees. So you could do $100,000 ad in a $5,000 pool and theoretically pay very little in fees. But we just never got around to adding that feature.
Gotcha. We have a follow-up question from Joel. He says, basically, I'm wondering how easily a BIP21 basic QR code for depositing and another for withdrawing single side LP could be made. That's the question.
Is it BIP31?
BIP21 is what he said. I don't know.
BIP21? So I don't think Memoless works with ERC20s, or I think that's what you're referring to. Forgive me for my ignorance here, but we only support layer 1 assets for Memoless at this particular moment in time, although there's active work being done to support non gas assets. But once that's functional, in theory, it should be pretty easy and straightforward.
Okay, there you go. Hope
is that what he's asking though, Denny?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Joel,
I'm not sure.
Joel, get on here. Come on, man.
Get on here, Joel.
Get on here. Get the link.
You can come up here.
Right.
Where is he?
I'm not familiar with BIP31 off the top of my head, to be honest with you. Let me just Google it.
Here, I'm sending it to him right now.
He can't claim being shy or doesn't want to be doxxed.
Yeah, he's on his own podcast.
In his fairness, he might be doing a space right now, and he's kind of he's dueling it right now. Yeah. So I did get off a space with him just before there. Oh, he thumbs up.
Is he coming?
Okay,
BIP31. BIP31's, according to this, is about introducing a Pong message, was designed to help nodes reliably detect dead or disconnected peer connections. So BIP31 is not like token related, and it's something Bitcoin specific, unless they're BIP31 on Dash. I don't.
Yeah, be on Dash.
I'm
guessing. I would assume he's talking about Dash.
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to your question, Joel. Sorry, Joel.
Oh, look who it is.
There he is.
My handsome friend. How you doing, man?
Hey. Welcome.
Hey. Oh,
Oh,
we just
no.
lost him.
I don't
And
hear
he's-
you, buddy.
And he's muted for some reason.
He's muted.
We can't.
He is
can't hear
muted.
them.
Cannot hear you, sir.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
You might need to leave and come back to choose a different mic. I don't think you can change your mic while you're in the studio. Can you or can you? Maybe you can.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think you can change your mic.
You're here. I'll unmute you.
No, you don't. You can't change it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't change your mic while you're in the studio. You have to exit and choose your mic when you come in.
Come on, Riverside. Let's help a brother out. You know what I mean? Let's make this more intuitive for people. They come in with all the effort to click the link.
Let's carry on until he's.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I wanted to change the subject completely. I'm not completely, but I don't know if we should. He'll be back. But what I want to talk about is POL, the percentage going to POL, yield going to pools. Like we gotta talk about this. I haven't been. I'm not sure. How do I say this? When should we talk about this? Like, should we wait till the network is going again, or should we do it while you guys are working and the nodes can argue about it before the network gets going?
That's a good question. We can. I don't know. It probably makes more sense once we get on the network, get healthy again before we start having that kind of discussion.
Or not.
Okay.
Joel, do you want? Are you? I don't think I can still hear you, man.
Yeah. Damn.
What in the heck?
No.
Your video quality is awesome, though. Maybe it was my connection.
But we don't see you muted anymore.
Joe, can you sign? Are you an ASL person?
Yeah, this is the only one I know is this one. Yeah, there we go.
Oh man, yeah. You know what's funny?
We need to get an AI ASL agent here just for Joel to
have him in the corner doing a sign language like at a concert.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a comedy show.
AI lip reader. You know? Yeah.
Sorry, Joel. You're the first person in this trouble. And
Yeah.
it's funny because you of all people, I think you're set up pretty darn good.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
And
call
he's a
him
smart guy. Like, he
challenged.
understands technology pretty well.
Yeah.
He's not.
Well, he streams all the time. Right.
Yeah, he's no dummy when it comes to this stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
By the way,
something.
Kenton,
Issues before.
Did
Go
you
ahead,
want
Chad.
one thing we could talk about? Or maybe we should wait. I'll let you decide. Of the idea you and I were talking about the loss leader.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, again, do we want to bring it up, get into it before Joel is going to interrupt us?
Well, yeah,
okay.
It's an interesting alpha. I'll say that. All right. Well, let's talk about it for a little while.
Maybe let me talk a bit. Go back to POL because I can just maybe I make my case for people listening.
Make your case.
The last 6 months are not normal, guys. They are out of the ordinary. It is not normal or healthy for the network to have all the rewards slammed towards the nodes and the pools get zero. Like that's not sustainable. And so we have to fix it. We have to balance it out, have some to the nodes, some to the pools. So as far as I'm concerned, the question shouldn't be about, should it be in balance? Of course it should be in balance. It's, does that...
Last try.
There we go.
Okay.
Do those fees go to liquidity providers or do those fees go to POL? And we should have that debate and talk about it later. But we have to do something about it because we can't continue as is. We gotta fix that.
Well, Joel, we've run out of time, buddy. Good to have you on.
All right. See you guys. Taxation stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, how you doing, Joel?
I'm doing very well. I was pretty exhausted from traveling a bunch. It was Vegas, then Miami, then Ljubljana, then Vienna, and then Stockholm, and I got back on last week, like Thursday. So
you've been on the road since we saw you in
what?
Vegas?
Yep, every week a different 1,000-mile away place. So it's good. Just got to see the world. Got to solve for work, right? Spread the good word of the Chad. And yeah, it's been a little bit of a tough time for you guys, maybe for a little while, but I know your biggest fangirl's been, having a lot of fun out there. In fact, I remember when I saw the whole incident, I was it was like 6:30 a.m. in some random Slovenian bus stop, and I'm just looking. I'm like, oh God, what's going on here? Like, so yeah,
never
it's
a dull day.
Yeah, that was a fun day.
We'll get over it. We're gonna get things back and going so that you can pull some dash. You had some. What was your question about the BIP21?
Yes.
BIP 31.
So this has been one of those things. And by the way, I've been working with THORDEX, that guy or whatever, the IPFS thing, to get some of this stuff implemented. This is my little random rant, which maybe I've given or not. It's one of the, just like everything, it's like missed opportunities that we're trying to fix now. One of the entire selling point of the THORChain and then Maya and then Chainflip and then near all that stuff was true cross-chain liquidity that hit like the old school UTXO coins first, right? That actually brought them into the fold. And almost no Bitcoin or Dash or Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin wallets could actually interact with any THORChain interfaces because the lack of the connect to wallet type feature. And it seems like the answer has been right beneath our noses the whole time, which is BIP21, also known as a 2012 innovation. Again, that was slightly before I got into Bitcoin even, which basically just, when you scan a QR code, instead of just the address, it does like Bitcoin : address and amount equals and op return equals. And right now we're getting that implemented into the Dash wallets because there's just been no need for an op return thing, because like, why do you need to scan a QR code? And THORDEX is working with us to do that as well. So basically, it's like a route around needing a memoless, right? Although memoless works for everything, any wallet, literally every wallet, right? But it's like a built-in memoless that you just add this little like tiny line of code or whatever to whatever wallet you have, you can just scan a QR code and just execute a swap, and that's it. And it's just like, boom, that just makes everything so much easier. And so where the question in the chat happened, again, I wasn't planning on coming on this show, but I guess I am, was about liquidity provision options. Because from my understanding, if you want to provide single-sided liquidity, it's a short memo, right? It's just like a very short memo. And then if you just do a different one with withdraw, then it will just send back to whatever address it came from, right? And then that's about it. So it should be really easy to let people stake, as it were. And the reason I'm bringing up staking is in the Dash ecosystem, you need 1,000 units of Dash to run something called a masternode, which is the main, I would say, validator type node on the network. And it was like 7-point-something% APY pretty much for the last decade or so. And the problem is most people haven't had 1,000 units of Dash. So there's a company called CrowdNode, and some of the best people I know out of Denmark that have run a pooled node service where you can deposit like 1 Dash and then they take a cut and you get that. Anyway, the European regulators just shut them down. And so everyone's kind of like very sad that now some people are just buying more Dash to like get up to the 1,000 so they can run a full masternode. So I've been running around being like, what else can I do for like small staking options? And then, of course, I look at the Maya pool. It's like 21% APR right now, I think, because there's been a decent amount of volume going through and not a lot of liquidity. And so I thought, oh, what if I just let people with plenty of disclaimers about impermanent loss, etc., just scan a QR code, hit send, and then they're in. Like, that could be pretty simple. So that's just where my thinking was. And then Danny brought me in here. So that's kind of all I have.
Yeah, so let me answer your question. I have good news and bad news for you. And I don't know a lot about BIP21. I was just reading more about it while you were talking. From what I can see, from what I'm reading, that BIP21 does not actually support op return. It supports a message which can only be stored locally. It's not a message that goes onto the chain itself, and so it couldn't be used for, sending, a memo with an add liquidity and memo that does something. But here's the good news though. There was a time when in THORChain's history when we had the savers functionality back in the day, that you could just send Bitcoin to the THORChain protocol without a memo, just like in a memoless memo, and it'll just assume, oh, what you're trying to do is just add it to savers. Like it just assumes like your intention here is to add it to savers. And we could obviously we don't have savers anymore for reasons, but like we could just for reasons, but we can just reuse that kind of logic instead of adding to savers, just adding into the pool as a single-sided LP add.
Yeah. So I guess we'd have to figure out with THORDEX, because it does seem like they think the op return the BIP21 will get an op return and it will work. And I guess, yeah,
maybe they're right. I'm just based upon this kind of like Gemini conversation I just had, which I don't know if that's...
Again, we'll see if this does work. Then it should be easy to replicate. If this does work, I will go to all the UTXO old school communities that don't have connect to wallet type wallets, and I will go to all the interfaces, make sure everyone's compatible and it all works out. But as far as like the single site, the single address type thing, I think that really that makes a lot of sense. Also, all the TCY I own is all because of savers, of course. So, which, as I tell people when they were upset at that if there was a TCY at the time, I would have bought that instead of put into savers. So for me, it's great for me, but for most people, maybe it wasn't. But I think that single address in and out type thing, I think could work. Now, from my understanding, the Maya protocol still has more traditional old school THORChain liquidity, where you provide liquidity and you get fees from that. My understanding, and I had Alan from THORSwap on our space just like an hour or so ago, he talked us through a little bit about where THORChain is today. My understanding today is that regular LPers, like if I provided liquidity into the Litecoin pool or something, don't really get compensated for that. Is that right?
No, it's not don't really. It is zero.
It's a really don't.
Really don't. Not like a close. It's like this zero. It's been zero for 6 months.
Interesting.
Yeah, technically, I don't think it's actually zero. I think it's like 0.00 something like.
You're telling me there's a chance.
You're telling me there's a chance. Which is like, that technically that code is still functional in the sense of like, if hypothetically, if RUNE's price were to pump tomorrow, right, and the bond became worth more than the assets it's securing, then the pendulum would start swinging in the other direction, and the LPs would start earning income. That would actually happen if there was like a pump tomorrow. So that code is still functional, and you could make theoretically it could happen. But in the current situation and the current landscape, that is not the case. And there's like a general question in the community that we've been talking about, which is just like, maybe just like turning off LP ad entirely and just have the POL be the POL, and all the liquidity is just owned by the protocol, and there's close to nobody that's a regular LPer, and that way we don't have to like have mercenary capital and
there might be something on the app layer for you, Joel. I'm not sure 100%. I'm not an expert on the app layer. I don't claim to be one, but there could be. I mean, it would involve a secured asset, of course. But there might be something there that you can play with. But yeah, for like what Chad's talking about, I mean, with the app layer and secured assets, it's skewed the pendulum so hard one way that it's pretty much everything's going to nodes at this point.
Now, do you know what Maya's planning on doing with that? Because like Maya should still have normal LPing, but I don't. Does Maya have POL?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. Like LPing in general in the general market has always been touch and go, right? Whether you're talking about Uniswap or you're talking about Bancor or talking about whatever else, and it's hard to make that like a very profitable situation. And we have tried on this protocol a whole host of different ideas.
Of course,
and which didn't work out so well. Savers being an example of that, and impermanent loss protection was another example of that. Of just trying to find different ways of being clever to figure out ways to make being an LP more profitable or more attractive, to get more liquidity, And, after, running this protocol for almost 6 years, or whatever the number is, it's a very hard problem to solve. And I'm getting to a place personally where I'm just like, I'm not sure there's actually like a really clean solution to this issue. And, and for the last few years before everything went south, there was just not a lot of people adding liquidity, and the treasury was really the LP of the entire protocol for a long time. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of pushing me more towards the POL mentality, and just having all the yield go to the nodes, and then some percentage of that nodes gets trimmed off and put into the pools, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows its liquidity that way.
I think
Chad,
that
didn't
is
we
a
talk
clean
about
solution.
being? Go ahead, Kenton. I'm sorry.
That is a clean solution.
Yeah, it's the cleanest solution that I've come up with. The other solution that I had, which is not applicable for THORChain specifically, was that if you wanted to buy RUNE or like be a holder of RUNE, you have to be an LP. So like the circulating supply of RUNE would be basically zero. There'd be no RUNE in existence outside of the protocol itself. And if you want to be exposed to that asset, you have to be an LP in a pool, and that would get a bunch of LPs because, right, the basically the depth of the pool is equal to the market cap of RUNE itself, effectively. But you can't do that with THORChain. We would have to start over again, create THORChain 2.0 kind of fork, and
like a Saridex or something.
You could do it on Saridex if Luke wants to take the concept. He can take the concept. But yeah, or a Maya clone could do it, that way, and that would be another interesting way of achieving the same outcome.
But just the whole thing is interesting because we're kind of in this unique era of crypto where the things you can do with it are super not limited. They're super unlimited. And we're a very cross-chain era, but also we're in the era where cross-chain complexity is kind of the user experience killer and should be abstracted. And all that to say, I think that the cross-chain dexes have really enabled a lot of really cool value to be added to individual projects, right? So for example, one thing that we're doing with Dash, we're starting with Maya, but then, others as well, is building it right into the wallets, where if you have an instant confirmation for Dash, you can get an outbound, say Bitcoin or something, within just a few seconds. So you can have your single asset Dash wallet just pay to anything or receive into anything. It's just like, hey, pay me back for lunch. Sure. I only have Bitcoin Cash. I don't care. Send it to the QR code, and it just goes right in, swaps, you're good. And so you have this like richness of experience while still just having to manage one asset. And when you think about staking, right, we're still figuring out, the thing about like a masternode is it's always going to be 1,000 Dash, and no matter what protocol changes make that easier to pool without trust, there's always going to be some sort of a complexity in a node running thing. People love to just stake and earn, and having a one-click stake option is kind of like the killer app of a lot of things. And economically behind the scenes, there can always be something that makes economic sense. It's just, how do you shoehorn that into a good user experience where you just do it? So if you had a consumer owned liquidity, let's say, you could just do the one click swap into that. Now, as far as like, I have not done anything, I wouldn't even say a more than a toe in for a deep dive on Rujira, but I'm wondering how many one-click type options you could do that would take a single asset, let's just say like a Bitcoin, you dump it, you do one click, and it somehow puts it into a yield-bearing position using Rujira. So is that right now one clickable?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
You want to talk through how that actually works, just for the dum-dums out there, as far as like, what does the user do, and then what happens back end, and then what is the outcome?
Chad, I could explain it, but I think Chad might do a better justice than me if you want, or I can try ahead, whatever you want to do.
Well, neither one of us are Rujira experts, right. But I mean, at a high level, and I don't know about Rujira specifically, but at a high level, you're providing liquidity in like the form of Bitcoin, or more commonly, it's stables actually. And so you put up USDC, and then somebody puts Bitcoin in the system and borrows your USDC, and they pay an interest rate of some interest amount, and you get whatever that is. And then there's like liquidation scenarios to make sure you don't lose your USDC and this kind of stuff. And so that's at a high level, that's how most lending protocols work. I don't know about Rujira specifically, but yeah, it's how when you go to, Aave, for example, and you put up some USDC for, from interest, that's basically what's happening, and they're using your USDC to pay out to people who put up the ETH.
And they also have individual assets, like right now there's 8 vaults, if I remember correctly. There's Bitcoin Cash, XRP, stables, and some other ones. And right, you take, let's just say Dash is on THORChain, wave a magic wand. You deposit Dash onto THORChain, you get a secured version of it, and then you can deposit it where people can take loans against that liquidity in the similar style of Aave, except it's omni-chain, it's multi-chain, right? So yeah, that's basically how it works. But I'll hook you up with the Rujira boys, and I'll get you in contact with them so you can theory craft and figure it out. Because once Dash goes online on THORChain, it will be going to the app layer, and so there you go, right?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I would
Kenton.
think they're like that is their goal, to deliver what you want, Joel. Sorry, I think I would assume they're working on that.
Yeah. So this is my user experience kind of mindset of like, from hearing what people want from end user apps, thinking what I would for end user apps. What would be cool is like you go to the stake option and there's a clean page. Like obviously a menu is nice, but it's also very complex. If people could stake 2 things, right? Stake in the native asset like Dash, or stake in like a USD balance. So, and then earn on that. And so let's just say you have all your money in Dash in this wallet. You go to the stake page, and then there's 2 things. You can lock in a USD plus interest balance, or you can lock in a Dash plus interest balance. And then you just click one or the other, and then it just shows you how much you have in those. And then you get those positions accrue value. Or the better one, but I don't know how feasible this is, of course.
Perfect. I got
there we go.
There we go.
Hey guys,
I love this.
Hey,
I got it.
This is great, you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just
sorry,
it's a
give me
party,
1 sec.
guys.
I have you in double. I had the
It's a
tab open
party
somewhere
when
else.
a Frenchman arrives.
That's right. You guys ready?
Yeah. C'est une fête. So, but basically, that's the coolest thing would be if yield could be streamed into the wallet in real time, but that's a trickier thing, right? You'd have to have like some sort of programmatic issuance or something. But that was just the cherry on top. I think just people being able to stake is good.
Okay,
Right.
so sorry, I missed the last few minutes of the conversation where I was trying to get in. But
I can
maybe I'll
summarize.
give you a quick tour of what you
Okay, go
could
ahead.
be doing on the app layer with Dash and the yield options. So I think the most attractive, I mean, of course, we can create a vault, a landing vault for Dash, but I mean, I will have to see how much liquidity there is out there to use it as a collateral. Probably, I would expect not much usage from that, as the APR would probably be very low, even if we allow it as a collateral in the main vault. But where it gets very interesting is once you start to use it to provide liquidity. So what you can do, currently we have CCL that is live. So you will be able to deposit your Dash as secured asset on the app layer, pair them with, say, USDC or BTC or RUNE, whatever asset you fancy. It doesn't have to be RUNE. It's like that's the only place where you actually make a market with native BTC, which is quite cool. So you could do a Dash BTC pair, but typically what we see is you get the best yield with when you pair with stables. So USDC, Dash USDC would probably be your best bet here, just because there is more volatility and the return you will be making will be a function of volatility. And then you can set your range. So I can walk you through that today. It's ready, and we have the wallets that support Dash integrated. But effectively, let's say there is a price below which you are very happy to accumulate more Dash. That's the low of your range. a price above which you are happy to take some profits at the high of your range. And then you just need to play with the spreads, which is, so what CCL is going to do is place a lot of limit orders on the order book. And the spread is going to define how much profit you target between your buy and your sell orders, just like a traditional market maker. And then we will have the virtualization strategy. So you still need a base layer pool. You will need to have some liquidity there. It's necessary to recognize Dash as a secured asset, have a price for it for the network, and also it allows external arbitrager to rebalance the pool as needed. And then this virtualization strategy, and whenever will reflect the price of Dash on the base layer and the broader market, and then whenever the price move, it will reflect in the order book, and it will trade against your CCL position. And we'll be adding some more strategy down the road, including one where you can start with single-sided Dash, and it will trade based on the oracle and track your average entry price and just keep accumulating more Dash or taking some profits above your average entry price in USDC or whatever token you want. But so the CCL, coming back to that, so you have your range, it moves around. And as it moves back and forth with volatility, you collect these spreads, these profits, and then you can set which percentage of that you want to stream out as yield. So you could set 100% yield, and then you will get effectively profits in a mix of Dash and USDC. That you can do whatever you want with it. And then we have one of the protocol building on Rujira is Auto Rujira, and what they do is just the automation layer. They do all sorts of things, but one of the key one that they are going to launch is around CCL. So you will be able to create an automation where you can say, for example, hey, every day or every week or every time my yield is above $100, claim it, swap it for more Dash, and send it to this address. And you could theoretically make a send that is secured minus to a Dash address and send it back to a native Dash address. So we can create a sort of synthetic stacking product where effectively you get exposure inside the range to whatever price range you are comfortable for Dash, and stream the profits back to your Dash address on a periodic basis. So that's totally doable, and actually that's exactly the type of things we look forward to show around to people and see protocols and people very involved that have a lot of tokens finally get new ways to generate money on volatility, which is the only thing we are sure about in the crypto markets. So
yes, of course,
that will be there for you.
Yes, because exactly from like the user experience standpoint, because I have worked with the Dash wallet in like QA and like UX consultancy and all that kind of stuff to try to make sure it works. From a staking, it should be a one-click stake button. You click stake, and then it just says, do you want to have your value in, say, USD or Dash? Just two options, right? And then you pick one or the other, and then you pick, do you want your rewards to accumulate? And obviously back end there could be many more options for an advanced user, but for just very simple, then it's, do you want your yield to accumulate there, or do you want it to auto pay out to the wallet? And then those are the options, and then you set it, and then you're done. And that would be very...
So that will be wallet integration. So
yes.
Once we get there and we have everything in place, like the pools and everything, you can put me in touch, and you can. We have documentations ready actually for integrators for CCL, and well, in that case, because it involves also some automation, it may not be that straightforward. You may also need to work with the auto guys to include that in the flow. But yeah, that's doable. Like, and let's make it happen.
Yes. I mean, it sounds like really cool, obviously. It's also something that I think it's a model. Again, I kind of feel like Dash tends to have one of the better user experiences to start it first. And then if it's proven, then there's so many other communities that could use that as a product, right? Whether it's, like Bitcoin Cash, whether it's the Litecoiners, whether it's just Zcash. I mean, obviously, Zcash is sort of not trying to do a lot of this advanced stuff on the protocol itself. So, but there's a lot of money in Zcash and more coming in probably. I think it would be a very attractive thing for Zcashers to be able to have that basic those two kinds of yields in there. And Zcash is very volatile these days.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Zcash, I mean, super excited about having this one because I think it will create a lot of opportunity and attract a new breed of community that doesn't have any DeFi option up to now. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's going to be quite cool. Yes, and how easy I mean, the easiest experience is just like deposit your Dash on a THORChain via Rujira UI and do those things there directly and manually send your yield back to your wallet whenever you want. That's should be out of the gate and very easy. And then like trying to work with wallets to package that in a way that's further abstract away for user is I mean, it's totally doable, but we don't have to wait for that. Like we can already start as soon as Dash is added as a base layer pool. We can get things moving.
Yes, that's good. And I have good connections with the Zodal wallet teams for Zcash as well. I know they're dealing with a lot of drama these last few days, but you know, no one in THORChain's ever had to deal with drama. But
never. No, I have no idea. No big deal.
That VC wallet for profit wallet. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, you mean okay, listen. There's I've been having some fun with my online shit posting. I may or may not have gotten a lawsuit threat out of it already. So yeah, plenty of fun.
Oh, fun times. Well, you guys didn't know this. Thor's Day is also a matchmaking dating service, and we've just hooked up these two fine individuals together. So we're making connections over here. You got to love it. Thank you, Pragmatic Monkey, for hopping on a short-term notice. I really appreciate that because I do my best to explain the app layer, but I know you're the utmost expert. So,
well, yeah, did you message him, Denny?
Pleasure.
Or were you listening, Pragmatic?
I was
I was listening,
oh, nice.
And then I was asking in Ruji chat, and he said, I'm trying to join. Here we are.
No, I was listening. I was planning to hop in anyway. Like I was like, okay, I need to come and preach for our church. But and you will guys, I'll come back once everything is a bit more settled on the THORChain side, and we have AutoHub in place, and we are working also on some ADR to clear up a bit of the noise we have been having and all the resistance from certain community members on the path forward and all that. So once this is set and done, we can resume building together, hopefully, and I'll come and showcase CCL and we'll start to build some like a test portfolio, and we can follow that up on a periodic basis and see how well it's doing and how the improvements in liquidity transmission between base and app layer help boost those APR, and how we can use that to attract more and more liquidity back to THORChain, and not just so we have protocol on liquidity on one side, and we are going to have that both at THORChain level and at Rujira level, and then third-party liquidity that generate more fees, which in turn means protocol on liquidity can grow faster because now there is more fees in the network, and so it's like effectively your external LP are like leverage to the protocol to build its own liquidity bigger. So it's a lot of very cool stuff we can do that are quite exciting, and we were just getting there before the incident, so looking forward to go back to that.
Me too. We had so many good things in the pipeline before all this happened. Like,
it was incredible. Like everything was lining up.
So
dynamic fees were very good on the THORChain side. I mean, Monero, of course, Zcash, lot of cool, exciting things. But I guess that's part of the curse, you know. Whenever things get too good, we need to get a slap in the face and keep going.
Hey, it's been 3 weeks, but it feels like 3 years. It really does, man. When it's going on,
it does feel like 3 years.
It's oh my gosh, but we're getting there. Hey, tomorrow, guys, it may get pushed. So let's hope, but you know, safety first. They're gonna take our time. They're gonna do it. Thank you again, guys. Chad, I have a question for you, but it's a silly question, so I don't know if you're ready for it. But it made me laugh. So if people don't know, people you don't know, Chad is like right. 7'9" or whatever. I don't know. The man's a giant. The question is, Chad, is it weird when you walk around seeing the tops of people's head? That's the question. Is this a weird thing, being so tall?
No, it's not weird because you get used to it, I guess.
There you go.
I'm 6'5", so I got some inches on me. I'm not a giant like Andre the Giant or anything like that, but I'm I'm up there, and yes, you do see the tops of people's heads, and you don't even notice it because it just happens all the time.
Funny enough,
That was the question.
definitely not the tallest person in crypto I've known. I could think of a few others who were just like,
yeah, I'm not the tallest person in the world by any stretch. I feel like I'm in, like, I was actually just having a conversation with my girlfriend about this the other day. Like, I feel like I'm like kind of like a good height. Like, it's a good place, like, where you're tall enough that you get the value of being a tall person, but you're not so tall that you're like just having like health problems, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, you know, and like, you have like a bad back and heart issues and like, you know, that kind of stuff that's really can be like disastrous or very difficult to live, or just living on furniture that's just made for like Hobbiton people, you know?
Like
yeah, I
me.
don't remember.
Yeah.
Are you or Boone taller? You're kind of similar, right? He might be an inch
We're
shorter.
both pretty. I think I got him by about an inch or two, but he's also a very tall guy. Yeah.
A lot of nice Chad folks. Again, not everyone here, but that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, some people should ask. You know, it's funny. I did some interview where I interviewed head of a political nonprofit in Wyoming who's been doing a lot of things on like crypto legislation, and he's about, I think he's got to be like at least 6'7" or something. So he's like very far up there, and we had a standing interview. So I'm just the whole time, and then people kept on trolling me in the comments, doing like the Willem Dafoe meme where he's looking up.
Oh yeah.
That's all I kept getting. So like, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of underboo.
Yeah, do you carry like a step stool with you in these circumstances so you can?
No, I just had to just jack up my neck. You know, I'm right in the median as far as like height's concerned. Like middle of the pack. Most people are about that size, I guess.
Yeah.
5'10" here. Yeah, that's just. I think that's average. 5'9", 5'10". I think's the average. So, yep. And Kenton, you're 6'1", 2, 3.
No,
what are you?
6 foot.
6 foot. Okay.
Yeah. Which I like.
Everybody-
I think I'm a good height.
everybody's 6 feet,
I can
right? That's
still
what they
fit
all
clothes
say.
normally.
Yeah,
I would think,
say I
Chad,
am.
for you, it might be hard to get. Sometimes clothes aren't like sleeves aren't long enough, or pant legs aren't long enough.
Yeah, that happens. That certainly happens.
yeah.
From time to time.
You know, it's funny. I'm the same height or taller than a lot of people who are 6 foot. You know,
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm 6 foot, but means there's a lot of liars out there. You know, I'm a comfortable. You know, I was a comfortable 5'10", 5'10 and a half, probably down to 5'9" by now because I've been hunching a lot. But you know, that is what it is. People get
Someone
very...
make me some Thor Force 1 shoes, but make the sole like this for me, please, so I can just look people in the eyes when we go to conferences. That'd be very helpful.
That's Cow. Cow used to make those shoes, and
he did.
Yeah, he joined the dark side. So, yeah.
you had to making me think about one of my favorite lines from Braveheart. Remember they're talking about making spears? Well, how long? As long as a man. Well, some men are longer than other men.
Yeah,
your mother been telling stories about
That's a great line.
Yeah, I love that little.
Can we do a Thursday where we just do like movie and TV show quotes? We were doing Anchorman earlier. We might as well just like have an entire episode. We just start quoting shit.
Yeah, except we can't quote any of the Thor movies. That's just a little too.
But the next one coming up is RUNE King.
Yeah, RUNE King. Yeah,
RUNE King. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That they're tying in the rune into it, so I keep thinking there's a way we can meme that somehow.
Yeah,
there's definitely going to be meme opportunities when that movie comes out for sure. And you get Doomsday's coming out in December, I think, so you get more content in that sense.
We got some meme masters out there. Cedric from the app layer. Cedric, this is your job, okay? I know you got mad I called you Cedric. That's because you have a 3 in your name, and it goes 3, right? So I'm not apologizing for that, but you're the meme master.
Well,
Get on it, my friend.
Where's he from? Like, is he like an Anglo?
Norway, I think, or something.
I thought
Norway.
I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I don't know because
Norway?
if it was like a different, like it's like French or something, the Citrodric or something, it would be something completely butchered
Made
like
it
that.
well.
So-
C'est Rodrigue.
He was very
Citrodric.
mad I got his name wrong, but he put a 3 in his name, so it's entirely his fault. And I let him know that, and I think he agrees with me. So there you go.
Well, it can't be. People always say Dead Mouse 5, and it's Dead Mouse.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
if you guys know that.
Yeah.
But
I do know that one. Yep.
Which like what was that VM that Vitalik was talking about? Was it Risk V or Risk 5? Can't tell which one it is, but that's another one no one can say, right?
Kenton, did you want to talk about that loss leader thing
Sure.
idea that we
Yeah.
were tossing around?
Yeah, let's do it. Bring it up.
It's interesting. I'm not 100% convinced of it yet, but I think it's conceptually
It's a good
interesting.
idea, Chad.
So this is the idea that Kenton and I and the BD team in general were kind of tossing around and brainstorming. But the idea is that we provide stablecoin swaps for free, which basically means swapless, swap free, whatever you want to, how you want to phrase it. Technically, there's fees because there's like outbound fees and gas and whatever else. But the swap is free. And the reason behind that is because one is stablecoins are blowing up. And that's going to happen even more so once hopefully the Clarity Act will get passed and, it'll make it even more so the case. And there's so much competition out there for stables between layer 0 and near and and what's it called? CTFC, whatever that Coinbase bridge is. I can't remember the name of it. That it's like the basis points is like 1 basis point or 2 basis points, which is like such a small amount of money that, per $1 million, it's like what, like $100 of revenue. It's just, not that much. So what I'm thinking is, if we were to offer stable to stable coin swaps for free, we would use that as a methodology to get a lot more integrations with, various partners and wallets and whatever else, because we got, free swaps. Like, who doesn't want free swaps, right? For, a very commonly traded pair, which is USDC to USDT or, whatever else. And so you get the integrations, for that. And then while they've integrated with for stables, they've also inherently by default have integrated for Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dash and all the other, pools we might have. And so in business terms, you call that like a loss leader, meaning that you take losses on the stablecoin swaps in hopes that you get more volume, you get like a higher amount of volume in other areas of your business. Like, if it costs you $4 to make a cheeseburger, you sell it for $3 at a loss. And then you sell, a Coke, which costs you maybe $1 to produce, but $5 to sell, and a bag of chips, which is probably 40 cents for you, but $3 to sell. And you make money on the Coke and the chips. You lose money on the burger side. It's just a way of getting more people into the door and making a higher profit by losing on the burger, right? And so this would be conceptually be a similar concept of make it free on THORChain, get more integrations, more Bitcoin volume, more Ethereum volume, other assets, non-stable asset volume, and then, producing an overall higher, volume and fee collection, like at the end of the day. That's the theory. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or
I can add some more color to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were talking to a prominent wallet ecosystem, about integrating THORChain. And they said, well, so we're asking them, what do you need? What are you looking for, right? How does THORChain fit in? Their primary focus is stablecoin payments. That's what they really want to push with their wallet. How can they do payments with stablecoins? And so like, okay, how do we kind of weasel our way into that? And they have their stablecoin on their one that they want to use. What they could do is say, bring in all your stable coins from all these different networks into our wallet, convert for free into the main stable coin of that wallet, and then go use it for payments. Or you could have another wallet that maybe is somewhat a bit chain agnostic, and they want to be for stable coin payments, pay in any stable coin, any blockchain, for no fees. And that's the growth area for crypto. In my opinion, this is how crypto is going to take over the world, is through stable coins. Is that that's the gateway drug. And so if we all believe in wallets integrating THORChain, that's the growth. Well, what's the real use case for wallets? It's not just hodling. People want to start actually using them for real life things. Using stable coins to pay for stuff is that first step. And if we make it as cheap and easy as possible for these wallets to offer or handle any stable coin on any chain, it greatly increases the probability of them integrating and using THORChain.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's not. So there's a company called stable.com. They were at Consensus several years ago, and they were trying to launch their own stablecoin, and then I didn't see them for a few years, and I saw them this year at Consensus, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? oh, we're a stablecoin exchange. They're just a swap service that swaps only stables, and they don't take any fee on that. And then all their fees come from like, that's their loss leader for their on-ramp, that they have a fiat on-ramp that does this stuff. So like the game plan's out there. One thing that it's, I can't remember what it was, but someone was trying to pay me back in a stablecoin for whatever. And it was like such a pain because we're trying to do, they got the wrong USDT or USDC, and then they got the wrong network. They didn't have the gas fee for it. And then I've ended up having USDCE on Arbitrum. And I don't know what the hell that is, but it's apparently not the regular one. And so I think that like unscrew my stable coins might be a great product where you just have like a million stable coins in your wallet. You just hit a button and they just all up into like one stable coin on one network.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. I don't know. If anyone out there has any, if anyone has any things they're worried about, Pragmatic Monkey, if you have anything, I don't know. But, you know, I because as you said, Chad, the people are offering swaps on stables already at what, 1, 2, 3 basis points is nothing. There's no yield to be gained there. So, but we can get utility for people to integrate THORChain, and then we capitalize in other ways.
And we get a lot of volume, right? We go from, you know, what are we, 40th or whatever the hell we are index wise for volume. And we theoretically, you would get a lot more volume, or like in, you know, 80% of the volume on Near is stablecoin volume. And then you have layer 0, which I think only does stablecoins, if I'm not mistaken. And they can't really follow suit with us because, at least layer 0, because like that is the product, right? That's, you know, more or less. And so, you know, for us, we have other products, which is like just selling, you know, buying and selling Bitcoin and other assets. And so we just have this opportunity to basically, you know, undercut everybody else because it's not much yield to be producing. Like we don't produce much yield from stablecoins to begin with. It's like 10% or less of our income comes from the stablecoins. So just screw the 10% and, you know, maybe get 20% or some higher number in the other assets, and also get a lot more volume passing through the protocol, which is positive, and you get a lot more, you know, integrations and partners and, you know, all of that as well. Like it seems like a good idea from my perspective, but I don't know. Maybe there's other people who think differently.
I think it's too good of an idea. I'd be surprised if we get much pushback. Like, and even Pragmatic Monkey, you point out to me last year that like majority of Uniswap's volume is stablecoin volume, and like so it'd be a good way for us. Like, I don't want to say it's kind of like juicing our numbers in a way, right? So, but that's why we're so, like you said, Chad, why we're so low on the volume list, because we're not getting this. Those guys get all this arbitrary volume of this back and forth, right? Which moves them up the list. And so no one's digging in any further to look to see what that volume comes from. I made that mistake with Uniswap, and that's what you pointed out to me, Pragmatic Monkey. So
important to notice that on Uniswap, the biggest volume are stablecoin, but most of it is not just stable to stable. It's stable to BTC, stable to ETH. So that's really also where you make the money. I think the plan, Chad, would be just on stable to stable, right?
Just stable to stable. You still have to pay fees going from Bitcoin to stable to Bitcoin, or vice versa. The problem, though, is that you can't really charge zero. I don't think you can really charge zero fees on an AMM just because of the way the math works. I don't think you really can do it. You'd have to like do a streaming swap of like a trillion streaming swaps, like. That would be like non-functional for a list of reasons. And so you have to figure out a different way of achieving the goal. And the two ways that I've considered about doing it is one, using like an orbital pool, where you just have one pool with a bunch of different stables in it. You know, I was actually thinking about calling Sleipnir, because Sleipnir is
we went there. You remember we haven't give up yet, but we put it on hold. That at least the guy we put in there, we realized the math were not working as in the paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but there may still be a way, but at least the
there's
guy
definitely got to be a way, because that's how Terra was working on, was a Curve.
Curve. So Curve is different. It's not an orbital pool. It's just they have different invariants. They can have n assets in a pool, and they have a more efficient distribution curve, but it's not the orbital as defined in the paradigm paper with.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'm using the
protection at the
wrong
edge.
terminology, but I was thinking about taking more of a page out of Curve's book and using even Curve's, mathematics to do the trading or whatever, possibly.
But
Maybe
we can do that on the app layer as well. Like if we really want to make it free, we can create a pool with no fee and use limit order in the order books to make market. I mean, it's always a function of liquidity, but so you need the base layer will be providing the liquidity on the other side, plus anyone who wants via CCL, but CCL people will want to make some profit.
Yeah.
Like you have to, and the base layer pool will also have still this little, I mean, deviation of price depending on size. So, but if there is capital willing to take both sides at one, we can make a pool that's very easy and set the fee. Currently we have set a fee on stable to stable pools at 1 bips. For the experiment, we could lower it to 0. But then we need a way to make it easy to route trades from the base layer router to make it aware of the app layer liquidity and be able to
right,
route
vice
them.
versa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the other way of achieving the similar goal that I was just kind of brainstorming on was that the POL would would over time buy a bunch of stable coins, and then it would use the Oracle, the enshrined Oracle, to get the price of all these things, and then just do a 1-to-1 trade between USDC and USDT and whatever else at whatever the Oracle price is.
For stable, in theory, you don't even need the Oracle price. That's
well, I think you still need it because every stable coin ever has depegged, and so you can't just do straight 1-to-1 because the depeg scenarios.
But then if that's your concern, then you should use, because if it's not a concern, then you just create a CCL position. We have that with a very tight range, but still like a little, I don't know, hyper concentrated with 2 bips on each side, 2.5 bip margin on each side,
like
and that's we have it already. Or if you want to use the Oracle, then you have to wait for DCL, which we'll be building as well, and that will be more advanced. But I think for this type of stable to stable, like CCL with a very tight range, will perfectly do the job.
Yeah. Well, in any case, there's different ways we can achieve the outcome, right? Of implementation details, but the overall arching idea is just that we make stables free. We hopefully capture a lot more of the market, even within the Ethereum marketplace, and then just get a lot more integrations and volume and in other ways, which would just generate more revenue for the protocol.
And I would think this could be helpful for people. Sorry, Kenton. People help like Mocha when they're if you have a stable, they're going to pay with stables, but the recipient business accepts a different stable on a different chain. Well, if there's a 1-to-1 transfer, done, easy, right?
Yeah, it's easy.
I think there's right. Go ahead, Kenton.
No, you're right. Just this would be great for point of sale apps and wallets. Maybe the flying ointment here, Chad, is where does the liquidity come from, right? If there's no fees, right?
Where does
so
the
then
yield
we
come from?
definitely need. Pardon?
Well, the yield wouldn't come from anywhere because there's no yield, but the liquidity would come from the POL.
It'd have to be POL,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
my thinking is that the system income that goes to the POL, let's just call that 20% of the system income for conversation purposes, and then after that we take some percentage of that, whether that's like 50% or 10% or some percentage of that, goes into the POL stable swap thing, and that becomes the liquidity. And because you're always putting in X and getting out Y, or you're putting in X and getting out X, or you're putting in the same amount of values you're getting out, the only thing you have to worry about is like rebalancing, because you might have like a large swap that goes from USDC to USDT, and then all the USDT is going out the door, and all you have is USDC, and now you can't swap in that direction. So then you have to do a rebalance, and to rebalance, you would just swap through the pools, right, to go from USDC to USDT and kind of level out and rebalance your position on both of these things. And there you would actually pay fees for the actual swap, would be, you wouldn't rebalance probably not that often, depending upon the liquidity that you have. You'd probably rebalance less and less the more liquidity you have, but And it depends the mechanism we're talking about. We're using the, intense design that I just talked about. We're using the CCL thing that PM was just talking about, or what, right? That also matters in that conversation.
If you do it with CCL, actually, the rebalancing will happen automatically, especially if we do, as we set the min slip fee, Arbwasm min slip fee to 0, we'll be able, even on very small deviation, the base layer over time will automatically rebalance. But if we also set the fee at 0 on this pair, it will create actually an arbitrage opportunity if you unbalance, because as you are saying, you are not going to do one limit order at 1. You are going to put a tight range around 1. And that means somebody can come with a very low fee or 0 fee and take the other side, because now it's in balance. So rebalancing should not be an issue, at least not with the CCL. Actually, you will even be making some money. It will be very tiny, I suppose. Well, if there is a lot of volume, it can still be something. But because with your CCL position, unless you set the spread at 0, but you should probably not do that, just put a spread of 1 bips even, maybe even 0.5 bips, whatever, we can experiment with a few. And then every time there will be volumes and those little deviation, you will be capturing a share of that. So that's also means create a new income stream for the POL, which then you can either reinvest in more POL, or you could actually create a new source of revenue for THORChain. And that's also another thing you can think of in the longer term. Like all this POL, the part you put on the app layer will be fee generating based on volatility. And so it creates a new stream of incomes that you can either redirect as cross-system income or just compound it to more POL. Or do a mixed.
Well, we'll think about it in more detail about what the implementation design is, but I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or concerns about the general idea of doing feeless swaps for stablecoins.
Just it's worth trying, and I like Kenton often saying that. Let's just run the experiments. Like at the end, if it doesn't work, it's not introducing any new risk. I mean, at least if we do it on the app layer, everything is there already. It's just a fee parameter to change, and then we see if it's worth it. We see growth in total volumes by a meaningful margin and overall growth in revenue. It makes sense. If we see it doesn't work, then we put back the fee on. Easy.
Yeah, I'm sure Boone, you're probably listening. You'll pick it apart, right? You'll find something to tell us, right?
Maybe he'll really like it. We'll see.
I say that out of love, man. I appreciate your intellectual honesty. But for me on the surface, I love it. I think it's great. And the other thing I asked Chad offline is that could this introduce an attack vector if people can swap without any fees? And maybe you want to answer that, Chad, if you think this is possible or not. Oh, here he is. Speak of the devil. Here
well, let me answer your question.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sir.
Let me answer your question, and then Boone can put in his 2 cents. Well, when I first think about it, like my knee-jerk reaction is no. Generally, when you have like low fees, the risk you run into is like pool manipulation price, which this is not the pool is not price, doesn't really matter. It's not really would affect anything. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would be like risky about it in that sense, like an attack vector of some kind. But maybe there's something I just haven't thought of yet, or somebody else has thought of something I haven't thought of yet. But my first thought is probably not.
Okay, perfect.
Boone, welcome. Thanks for coming on, man.
What's your thoughts, Boone?
Oh, thanks. No, in general, I think the concept's great. I mean, I think the implementation probably should be thought through. I mean, probably the simplest thing is like a curve, like they're specialized in stable swaps. So just copy their math and just do that would probably be the simplest thing. But yeah.
Well, CCL is already there, but I guess you will not support it because it's the app layer.
Fuck you, app layer.
And it's more efficient, by the way, on stable pair than it would be that a curve pool will be, because you can really define your range, so you can bound
Well, then
the
great.
point
Yeah.
of view.
I mean, just
Yeah,
for the
but
record,
my
I'm not against the app layer or Rujira. Like,
But it just look at it like all those existential threats you are coming, like rewriting the base layer pool architecture to have a limit order there, which effectively threw away all the last 2 years of work we have been doing, and introduce a lot of. I mean, it's just we will have this discussion when we do ADR 29, but it doesn't feel like you are supporting us. It feels like you just care about your ID, and no matter how much conversation we have, it always ends up to
Well, this is
not
why we
changing
have a
anything.
conversation, right? This is where we have exchange of ideas, because text is so hard, right? Because when I talk to Boone, not to speak for Boone, but he just wants to make sure that whatever we do makes sense, is optimal for both sides, right? But I'll stop talking, Boone, if you want to go ahead and go on that front.
No,
Boone,
I mean,
well,
this is a broad conversation, so probably this is not the exact place, but like the short version is like, I'm a base layer maxi. And so to the extent that the app layer is good for the base layer, I am fully supportive. And like, there's lots of ways it can be. There's, when it's value additive, it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I'm just very protective, and like, I was talking to Erudite, and like, I have no doubt of good intentions, but like, like we saw with savers and lending, like the best of intentions can just not be a good decision. And so, yeah, if I think something's not a good choice, I'm going to speak up about that. And I mean, that's really the simple version. But like what you just brought up, the base layer limit orders, is actually why I joined this call. And so, I mean, again, this can be a whole separate conversation, but the more I think about it, the more I really think that this just could be the solution for THORChain, like you guys were talking earlier, which is why I was like, trying to find the right place to come about like POL and paying LP fees. And so, Chad, I don't know how much you like looked into Devel's limit order proposal. I know he said like you assigned it a priority on GitLab, but I don't know if you like looked into it at all.
I do recall reading into it a little bit, like not deeply, because the last few weeks have been focused on other things, but I was a little bit, when I read through it, the first kind of like quick kind of like glance through, I don't think I captured the difference between what is already there now and what is being proposed. Like, I think I missed that part of it, but does that make sense?
I have a delay. Do you guys have a delay?
I don't seem
I
to
do
have a
not.
delay.
No?
Oh,
Like,
weird.
your
Yeah, it
video
must be on
and-
your side.
Let me exit and come right
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that correct.
While he's coming back, like we were just talking about the stable to stable thing, and he was saying we should use curve, which was my first thought too. But I think I've gotten a little bit bearish on that view a little bit, just because I think that would not be like a zero fee; it would be a negative fee, in the sense that from the protocol's perspective, because you're charging no fees when the trade happens, and you're making the pool imbalanced in some form, and then arbitrage and make it balanced again. And arbitrage are just extracting value out of the pool more or less continuously with every trade or swap. And so we're charging no fee, but then the arbs are extracting a fee, and therefore you're constantly just bleeding liquidity. I think I have to think about it more deeply, which is why I started thinking more of like an intense design, because that's a bit more one-to-one. There's no arbs happening at all, and and it's just a zero to dead even trade, and there's no losses for the protocol to experience in that hypothetical scenario, assuming that the oracle is not fucked, which I don't think it would be. It's like it's pulling from like 17 exchanges or something like this. But in any case, sorry, Boone, can you hear me okay now? Or is it still
Yeah, no,
delayed?
it's synced up before the video. There's just a weird delay with the audio, so
Yeah.
it was hard to have a conversation.
Just sorry, before you go on that, if you do it with CCL, the invariance is that at any point in the range you define, when the price go back to where you started, you will get exactly the same quantity of base and quota sets. So that's extraction you are afraid of. With CCL implementation will not be happening.
Well, so I'm not terribly familiar with CCL in general, so I'd have to do some reading and wrap my little brain around it, and maybe you and I can chat later, or shoot me a link or something like this, so I can do a deeper dive on that implementation, like kind of details, so I can kind of figure out if it makes sense from my perspective as well.
I'll shoot you something. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, they were talking, Boone, you'd left. They were carrying on, Chad's initially thought that the curve model might be good, but he was worried about arbitrage, since it's free, if there was some siphoning attacks, very gradual small bleed. So just getting you caught up on that front. We just don't know. It's kind of like a, ideation, logical question. So I'm trying to remember what we were talking about beforehand. I'm sorry. I know we were talking a little about app layer and stuff like that, but
I was
the stable
broaching the concept of these base layer limit orders.
Oh,
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
do you want to give me and the rest of the listeners whatever?
Yeah. So just like the really high level is, I don't know the actual shape. Do you know the price curve of an AMM pool? It's either a U or an S, I would imagine, but off the top of my head, I don't know which it is. Does anyone know?
It's a U. I think.
I haven't.
The XY.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't seen it in many years at this point.
Okay,
yes.
so yeah, just like the constant product, AMM pool it plots a curve, right? And so his idea is you can interrupt the curve at any point and insert liquidity there at like a set price, and it's like an amount, and then once that's exhausted, then the curve continues. And so you break the AMM curve, and then you can fill flat. And so this would essentially give the base layer like a dumbbell dual liquidity model, where there's the AMM pool, which is like always, it's never going to get pulled. It's always going to be there. It's productive capital because it generates, volume just by sitting there due to ARB activity. And, if something happens where the protocol needs to spend money, you could draw down on it. So I think we still want to do POL, but then by interrupting the curve, that turns ARBs into market makers, and they can place the liquidity right at the price. And so it's like, it's basically limit order. And so it's very capital efficient, like very, it can be very concentrated. And then because it's not part of the AMM pool, there's no slippage associated with it. So users are no longer paying, because right now they pay like the dislocation, the slippage, and then the fee on top of it, right? And so for the liquidity that's done as this limit order, they wouldn't be paying the slippage anymore. So that cuts the fees in half for any like swap that's filled via this new method. And then like the way his implementation be is like you could assign maker and taker fees to it. And so right now he's proposing 5 bips on each side, which works out to the same bips we're currently charging. So like the protocol makes the same, but like users, like swappers, would only be paying a quarter of what they are now. So, and also like the quoting would be all on the base layer. And so it doesn't right, if the app layer then like, basically, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, PM, but like, if we were to take what you guys are proposing to the limit, then the app layer would supplant the base layer for quoting purposes. Like, it wouldn't make sense to go to the base layer for a quote if all this liquidity is on the app layer.
Yes, that's correct. But
Right.
the other important point that effectively what you are proposing, and that's why I take it as, and the world community take it as hostility, you are effectively telling that you are going to copy paste what we did and build an order book. Effectively, what you are talking about is the implementation of a real order book on the base layer. It's going to completely break everything we have built around, because we came here with the pitch was we are going to simplify, reinforce the base layer. It should be boring, and all the experimentation and new, more efficient liquidity should be on the app layer. Now you are saying we throw that away without this construct. So suddenly you may like you change materially the shape. So maybe also it puts us all assets at risk. I don't know. I mean, that's a risk, especially if it's not coded properly by people who understand from beginning to end, which is not me. I'm not a dev. But what the result of that is first, then suddenly what we have been building, this order book that aggregate liquidity from all those different sources, virtualization strategy for base layer pool being one, but there are also all those other strategy we are building, and the limit orders, which are already there. then what's the point if you replicate that on the base layer? And we will need to rewrite pretty much all the contract, because everything, the order book based, like is at the center of all the other products, and it works. It has been thought for THORChain the way it's designed currently with those continuous pools. We will have to rewrite all of that. I was speaking with Matteo, which you spoke with as well, Zefiro. And effectively, this is killing all the work we have been doing, and we have to rewrite everything. I'm not sure people are keen to do that. So that's what I mean by hostility. Like, let's collaborate. We are building those stuff already. Let's grow it together instead of trying to take what is good and put it on the base layer and let us as a second-class citizen or completely disregarding our work and force us to rewrite everything.
I mean, I hear you, and like that makes sense. But like, I mean, just for this is not my design, right? Like this, a node operator, a THORChain node operator, who's also an ARB, he came up with this like on his own because he thinks this is it's a superior model. And then looking at it, I agree with him. Like just being like, you know, being rational. Like it's just simply, in my opinion, a superior implementation than what you guys have built. And so being a base layer maxi, it's like, sorry. I mean, like, I don't think it would be. I mean, there's so much that app layer can do. I don't think that this one feature would like ruin your work or anything. I mean,
the core of everything we do, everything is the order book. Everything else is connected to that. That's what generates the fees. That's what captures the arbitrage. That's where we can have expressive liquidity, and that's technically the product. Trading is the highest velocity product. That's what's gonna make money, no matter what. If you have a boring market like a money market,
you guys can do. There's like Bitcoin back. I mean, Bitcoin loans alone. I would think. No, I'm surprised that wasn't your first.
That's very low capital efficiency. You take a lot of security budget to secure the Bitcoin, and you collect most of the fee you collect is paid out to the lender, and you take a 10% short. Like there is no velocity, so it's the ratio of fees you can make is like a 6 to 12x less than what you will do typically with an exchange. Perhaps we will add it down the line, but like the spot market and this. It's like this end-to-end working with via the virtualization strategy with the base layer, and via more stuff we want to do to make the router aware of the app layer liquidity and all those things. We are there. Like it's that, what we have been building for. Like you really are telling us like to basically forget 2 years of our works and all our plans and move on to lower revenue stuff. That's not what we are in for. And our vision is much more what I was trying to tell you the other day on Discord. Like, let's build this together. Like as a team, we do this those experimental new liquidity stuff. We have the order book already. Let's focus on that. Make the base layer router aware of the app layer liquidity. Let's route all these volumes, and eventually long term, like, I mean, I hear your concern that there's an economic conflict because you are a base layer maxi and all that. Like, I think the path we want to go on, maybe the path that end up on a merger, because this keep being a recurring topic, and then you get all of that, but you get it not by siding us, but by collaborating, growing the pie, and it's proven that it works. It will be there, and very importantly, we can do that by keeping out the app layer without increasing the risk of the base layer. Once you start changing the design of those base layer pools, we don't know what risk we introduce, and we just lose another like 20 million of TVL. Who knows, like another vulnerability, something like goes wrong. Like, we need to preserve the liquidity we have in the base layer pool has been going down and down a lot in the past 2 years. We need to preserve what is in there. Like, we should not take it lightly put those 40 million or whatever is left post hack at risk of being extracted because some new feature were implemented, like on a text that has been running for 10 years, and suddenly we change the core of it. Like, that's very the opposite of what we were bringing for. We were bringing to simplify the base layer, make it very robust, focus on security and chain integration, and move all this complexity at the smart contract level, where it can be more expressive and just more secure, not touching the core. So, yeah, that's
well. Let me ask.
Let's do the ADR 29 discussion and all that. But really, for us, like the path is collaboration. And what you are offering is very direct competition. Like it's just like throwing away all the work we have been doing.
You're the one who's putting us in. You're like you're essentially trying to vampire base layer flows. You're saying, oh, we're not going to quote, like the base layer is not for quoting anymore. All quotes should go through Rujira. Like you're the one putting it in competition.
It's not true. Like so you may be able to get better quotes especially for smaller swap on the app layer, but most of the flow will still go through the base layer, and the virtualization strategy will be this buffer that's arbitrage. But from the moment we can make the virtualization strategy, the base layer router aware of the virtualization strategy liquidity, actually the flow can and will most likely continue to go through the base layer, because that's where all the integration are with other people. And what will happen is just we will upgrade the virtualization strategy so it can see also what is in the swap queue and use rapid swap to directly inside the same block act as counterparty for any big swaps that is happening. And instead of having a streaming swap that takes 20 blocks or so to execute, if there is enough liquidity on the base layer or the app layer, it can go and fill it in one go. So it doesn't mean like we need to move all the flow out. If you are an individual user and you want to do a swap and you don't care about gas from inbound, outbound fees, it's very possible that you get, at least for a small scale at first, a better rate in a pool that is not using purely the base layer XYK curve, but something more concentrated. But for the big flow, it will remain there. And in the long term, maybe if it gets at scale enough, I think by that time, if it becomes an issue, it will be a very good problem to have for both of us. And that's also, I mean, probably even before that, when we can start to think about a deeper integration in the form of a merger or whatever. But yeah, just like give us a chance to keep pushing with the vision we have been building and not derail everything with this.
I want to interject here. I don't mean to cut you off, Pragmatic Monkey. I know Chad is limited on time, so I know he was trying to speak earlier. I want to cut to him in case he wants to add some perspective or opinion on here before he has to leave. So I'll kick it to you, Chad.
Yeah. I had to take off in like 2 minutes because I got other plans and coming up on 3 hours on this potty.
Thank you for your time, buddy.
So I wanted to make sure I am understanding the proposal that Boone was initially kind of describing earlier, just so I understand where you're coming from. If I understand correctly, you're saying effectively to create a standard kind of order book on THORChain that's separate from the THORChain liquidity pools. That's just like a separate kind of another methodology of trading that doesn't use the It's a separate thing where you put in X and you want Y out, and whenever somebody shows up in the other direction, it fulfills the order and it carries on. Is that right, or am I misunderstanding something?
The implementation, it's not separate. Like it's like it's built into the curve, right? So there's the normal AMM price curve, but then you can place liquidity at a point in the curve. And so then the price matching, it was matching on the curve. It stops matching on the curve. It fills at a flat price. And then once that liquidity is exhausted, then it continues on the curve.
Yeah. So another way of saying it, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is I'm making a trade, on THORChain from Bitcoin to Ethereum, for example. And I have two methodologies of trading. One is just the regular old AMM, and one is, this new thing that's on a point in the curve as you describe it. And whichever one of these,
there's only one quote endpoint. It's not like you're not offered a choice. It's still one thing.
Right, but I'm trying to think internally because you're going to have two forms of liquidity, and then you're going to trade through. Like the user's not going to understand that that's
Well,
the
just
case.
be trade assets. Or it could be secured assets. Like, I mean, the whole thing, like all of Rujira, I mean, I was talking to Zafiro because I was hoping it would be an easy refactor that you guys could take advantage of this too. And then it's like kind of just win-win. But then he was like, oh, we'd have to rewrite everything. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. But like, it could be with secured assets.
My question is, like, when a trade comes in and you have this point in the curve, and then you have a AMM pool that has a curve, right? Whatever that is. And basically, whichever one executes at a better price would be the one that gets executed to effectively create the curve with a point, and then all the trading, stops until the point is consumed, and then it continues on the curve. That would give you the behavior that you're describing, I think. Is that right? Or am I missing something?
I'm honestly just a little confused. Like, could you try again? Maybe like say it slightly different.
Well, it sounds like you're talking about the curve, right, on the AMM of like the price and what how much you get X versus Y on the way out, right? And as the price moves, you move up or down on the curve, and like the price is moving at a certain point, and then like there's some liquidity at a point, right, that you're talking about, which is and then you get to that point and you just consume this point continuously until there's nothing left for the point, and then you continue down the curve.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way to achieve that, and maybe there's another way to achieve it that I haven't thought of or aware of, is that the AMM itself cannot achieve that on itself. It needs a second form of liquidity, which is offering at a certain point on the curve, which is really
it's like a KV store it's a KV store of bids, like of limit orders, right?
It's a limit order. That's what I mean. Like when I first asked you the question, you're effectively creating
limit orders,
an order book on the other side. Effectively, that order books create points on the curve, right?
Oh, all right. So this is perhaps where we're crossing. An order book matches limit order against limit order, right? That's what makes an order book. This only inserts limit orders into the curve, so it's not matching limit orders against each other.
Yeah, so
then it's not a proper order book. Like
something is coming in for a trade, and it's got to figure out: am I going to consume the AMM, or am I going to consume what's on the order book?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at Devel's map, but yeah, that's what it does. It traces the curve,
right?
And then it like for offering a quote, it's like, okay, like the quote wants this much liquidity, and so I'm going to consume this much of the curve, and then I'm going to consume this limit order, and then I'm going to consume this much more of the curve, and then I'm going to consume this limit order, and then I'm filled, and then I stop.
Right. But then here's my next question then. Now that I understand what I think I understand, is that what effectively happens with the limit swaps, as we call it now, is actually identically the same to what you're saying.
No, because your limit swaps they're only takers or whatever.
Well, it's creating a point in the curve that you're trying to execute at.
All right, so first
until
of all,
somebody comes along to execute at that point, which you might get better than the point, but maybe that's one of the differences. You get a better price than what the point gives you. That's possible.
Okay, so at the very beginning of Devel's proposal, he explains how your limit swaps are different than what he's proposing. Like there's like a
because mine's using swaps to achieve the goal, and you're creating an order book to achieve the goal. But the behavior is identical in the sense that I put in X and I get out Y. What happens between those 2 points?
The behavior is not identical. I mean, the goal is identical, but like the behavior is not. Like, if you read his proposal,
who cares about the behavior if the outcome is identical, right?
Because the outcome isn't identical.
Well, you put in X and you're trying to get out Y, right? Like, and how you get to Y is
I mean, if you just look on chain, not many people are using the limit swaps. It's just not a feature that is making sense for people to use.
Yeah, but I don't know why you think this would be any different than what is already being offered, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's in the proposal. I could read you the proposal right now.
It uses secured assets. Well, that's not. Go ahead.
This is something that maybe we can cross paths. I know you have to go.
Yeah, and again, like I wasn't trying to like start this whole thing, and like I mean, it's a whole separate conversation how it impacts like the app layer, but one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this is like it is a way to get liquidity. It's not quite in the pools, right? But like into our quotes into our order book that we don't have to pay for. So you don't need LP rewards for this. Like they're being paid by market making. Like they're getting paid by the delta in prices. And so we can get great liquidity concentrated right where we want it to be for free. And so that solves the LP reward problem.
Which is
And
exactly what we have been building, and CCL is exactly
but
that.
yours is after the fact. It's not the same. It's less efficient. It is just mathematically less efficient.
But with rapid swap, because we need to upgrade the virtualization strategy, but with rapid swap, then once we can make the router aware of the liquidity that is on the app layer, how much can be used as counterparty to fill whatever is coming in, you can make it as efficient. It's the same as Chad was saying.
I mean, okay, if that's true, then then that removes my my concern. But like my impression was it wasn't. So, but I mean, if you and Devel want to like get into the math of it all, and like if he agrees with you, then yeah.
There we go. See, this is why I wanted, guys. I just want to make sure, and this is what I encourage. Like, get into let's start chat with Devel and just see if there's some permutation here, and that people can get addressed, and we can move forward. Because I do understand your point, Pragmatic. A lot of engineering time has been made. Okay, real quick, Chad, do you have to go? Yes, sir.
Yeah,
thank you so much,
guys.
Thanks, Chad.
brother. Thank you for 3 hours, dude. God bless you, buddy. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Take care, Chad.
Yeah, and this is why
it will not be me. Like you will need like actual devs to be there to have this discussion. Like I don't pretend to have the level of understanding of the depth of the code to speak on that. But yeah, that's
yeah. Let's.
I know it has been very poorly received on our side, and it's
I understand that.
Putting like everything we have done through the rubbish. Yeah.
I understand that as well. I think the good thing is though, because you guys have spent a lot of time building on the app layer. Because Devel he is an arbitrager and it's something he's very good at, and you guys obviously are very good in your thing as well. Let's see if we can find a happy middle ground. You know what I mean? I'm not typically like this happy middle ground guy, but if there's a way that we can resolve the concerns that a Boone, as he said, perhaps there is something there, then that'd be great. You know what I mean? And then we can move on because, the problem is, and just being real, there is always going to be a tension. And I've been trying really hard to solve this is, if you have two assets, of course, I don't want to get into the merge talk, but there is a tension there, right? And this is something that we're seeing it play out time and time again, where I want the communities to permutate. And I know you've talked about this as well, Pragmatic Monkey, and trying to walk this line is proven to be difficult. But the one thing I really want from this is if you guys get together and just chat with your voices. Is this text thing? It just doesn't work. There's no verbal intonation there. There's no facial expression, because I think a lot of distance has been made just from this small interaction. So maybe that's something you guys can organize. I would love that. Just see if there's something there to be had.
Devs on our side will be keen. I mean, honestly, like all this back and forth, that's what you don't realize, Boone. Like I'm in the middle of it. Like this has been such a killer on the mood, on top of everything that was happening. It's hard. Like when you have been building something day and night for 2 years, but it's not like just for 2 years. Like we have been through a lot of different episodes before that, and then someone arrived and said, oh, I don't really care, not the same token. Let's just scratch everything and do things different. It's hard. So it's I don't know if we will be keen to come and discuss that live. I do see the merits of doing that, and with somebody that's we really understand the math and the code behind it and the computational limitations as well. But the morale is not at the top now. So I don't know if there will be a lot of volunteer to come here and debate with you.
I mean, I'm not even the one. I mean, again, I just want what is best, right? Like my vision for THORChain is we're building something that needs to last forever. Like this, I mean, like I'm not looking a year down the road, 5 years down the road. Like I consider THORChain. I have not been interrupting you. Can I please?
Sorry.
Speak?
Go ahead.
And it really, to me, makes sense to do things correctly the first time, and it's just ruthless meritocracy, as Danny likes to repeat. And like, as a human, I completely empathize with what you're saying. Like, we put a ton of time and effort and work, and if that gets thrown away, that sucks. It just sucks, and I hear that. But again, I am a base layer maxi, and like, if your design is less superior, then your design is less superior, and like, I'm sorry, like, it just, to me, that's not a reason for the base layer to suffer. And so like, I'm not, and just again, I try to be very clear about this, but like, and this, I'm not trying to get into the whole, this can be a separate conversation, but like, yeah, the way the whole thing was set up was just poorly done. Like the app layer, base layer design, all of it, just, it doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see you guys' ADR, and then that's really when the conversation can happen. But like, yeah, whatever makes the most sense for the base layer is what I am going to advocate for. So I'm not attacking you, but like, if you guys are doing things that I think negatively impacts the base layer, I will speak up. And so I'm not attacking you. I think there's a ton of value add that the app layer and Rujira has, and I'm like glad you guys are building, but like, if it comes at the expense of the base layer, I will speak up.
But it doesn't have to come at the expense of the base layer. That's the thing. If we agree that we have this long-term vision, I'm also like, I think everyone in our team is building with this very long term. Like, we want to build something that will stay there as an infrastructure for the world that will outlive all of us. That's the goal. And if you take this time scale, then what is a few years? Let us move forward, focus on what we are doing with a clear plan, and eventually maybe we merge and it solves all the issues, and we have a design that is much safer, and you don't need to completely rewrite the way base layer pool works. And that's
so, but I mean, the exact same argument, just real quick, Danny, the exact same argument can be flipped. If you have a long-term vision and this is clearly superior for the base layer, why don't we just roll with it? If you're here for the long term, you don't care. Like, it's better for everybody, right? We win together.
And then what happened with the economic incentives of all the people in the community and all the team that has been building this app layer?
Yeah, they were really poorly designed. I agree.
Yeah. No, but
okay. So this is the issue. The issue is we have Boone. You are correct. I mean, how we're all thrown together was really haphazard, and it's caused a conundrum. It's a quandary of issues, particularly when you have two separate tokens. I know I don't want to get into a merge talk, but this is where the friction comes from, right? So let's thread the needle. Like, we have to figure out how a way to thread this needle, because I do agree with Boone insofar as facts over feelings. I'm 100% that guy. But also, to your point, Pragmatic Monkey, is that there's really a huge amount of human capital that has been working very hard on this issue, and you're not ostracizing them, but that's how it's an interpretation. And because you imagine you work 2.5 years on something very diligently, very hard, you don't want to ostracize that human capital. And so perhaps there is a way where we can make a roadmap situation here where perhaps you can let the app layer take it, but then I think a merge, I got to bring it up, it's probably got to be in the works at some point or something. So I understand this is the quandary we are, because the human capital of Hans, Pragmatic Monkey, and all these Rujira guys, to me, they're incalculable. I mean, they have so much expertise, and I want to preserve that relationship. And so it's a very difficult question. I see you smiling, but I totally get it, dude. I totally get what I'm saying, and I understand what you're thinking. Is like, man, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too, and I get it. But I want to see if there is something here. So I want you guys to continue to have this dialogue, because when I see all this text messaging back and forth, it's so hard, guys. Let's see if we can work something out. And because I totally agree with you, Boone. Do it right the first time. I get it. But if there's a way where we can thread a needle, where we can get the same outcome, and we can preserve the human capital and address, I think that's just ideal. I have a long-term version too. So go ahead, Pragmatic Monkey.
Do it right the first time. I agree, but that's the thing. You say the design you are pushing is better, but actually we don't know, and it's introducing a lot of risk. I think what we have done is safer and it works. Like, it's already there. So the only issue is an economic issue of revenue distribution, and this can be solved eventually. I know I will be crucified for saying that, but yeah, through a merger, I think it will solve a lot. If it can just stop all those back and forth and this conflict, like, it's such a toll to have to deal with that on top of building something very complex. Just for that, it would be worth. But it's complex stuff. Also, like like we have heard so many hurdles when we started to build that, and it has been a product of many years. And especially when you start to layer different strategies on top of it, and it's not just one point in the curve, but actually one point in the many curves, different curves, which is what we have built with our order book. You will run into a lot of issues, including computational issues, because doing all that on chain, it's the more you add, the more complex it gets. And we have like, I think the time and focus we have been spending on that is we have some things that we have already run into all those issues and solve a big part of them. It's like you will get into the same battles, multi-year battles, if you try to redo what we have been doing on the base layer. That's for sure. Like it looks things like also like how do you deal with prioritization when you have several people, for example, at the same point in the curve, and suddenly you need to decide who's gonna get filled first. And it looks like nothing, but it's actually a hard problem to solve, and that's why, by the way, stop Chad initially to build an actual order book on the base layer at the very beginning when we were just starting.
Can I walk it back real quick, Boone, before you go? You said earlier that one of the concerns could be addressed on the secured assets. It's some technical jargon that I'm not unaware of. Can we start there, right? Because I know you said earlier in the conversation, you said, "Oh, that might address one of the concerns I have using secured assets on the app layer if there's no difference in the execution." Something like this. I'm sorry.
No, PM was talking about rapid swaps and saying it's functionally identical, which I'm skeptical of, but like if it is, okay. But then, I mean, and this is like honestly like a lesser concern, but yeah, then there is just the issue of fee sharing where like the base layer solution is just better. It's cheaper for swappers, or like it's just like it's just less fee. Like it's just better for base layer, right? Instead of getting 50% of the fees, we're getting 100% of the fees. That's just like twice as good for the base layer.
Yeah, but with the app layer, because you get the counterparty liquidity, you also get fees on all this third-party liquidity will be attracting, plus the pool, and the arbitrage profits on whoever is not using limit orders and use classic swaps that dislocate pool price.
Yeah, but all that stuff would be there anyway.
No, you will not be getting the same. I know you think
I'm not suggesting getting rid of the app layer.
No,
like
but you will not be getting the same revenue. Like you don't know. That's also the other conversation we have been having.
I don't fully know. You're right.
Yeah, and we cannot know before, but there is a big case to make that actually between the fee, additional fee on the app layer, the fee that is normally paid to Binance or wherever is the venue, and between the arbitrage profit that is being captured on price deviation net, it's actually likely that and between also all those little smaller arbitrage that are never economically viable in the current setup because the fee is too high. But now the swap profit acts as our profit act as a dynamic fee effectively that capture whatever deviation there is. There is a good probability, and we will not know till we try and give it enough time to scale liquidity and all that, but there is a good probability that actually the net revenue, even after sharing, is bigger for THORChain than just relying on the app layer, the base layer alone.
Boom, go ahead.
Yeah. Again, I don't know all, right? I don't know, but my intuition is that you could still have like all like the CCL and the DCL and the arbitrage. Like I don't think any of that's impacted if you just switch. Instead of using the virtualization service, you just switch to these base layer limit orders. Like maybe you have to rewrite all your contracts, but all the services, all the like the retail, the normie facing services that you offer, I don't think those would be impacted. Like you can keep the whole suite that you have. You just need to swap out the module with how it interacts with the liquidity. And then that's, I think, just strictly a superior solution.
That's a core fit. And that's why it doesn't work, because we are looping as well. That's why I was talking about computational issues. We are looping through the order book to match all those liquidity sources. And now if you do that on the base layer, there is a loop also for every swap on the base layer. And then there is a loop in the loop. and it completely blow up. It's impossible. Just you can't do that on chain, and not on any blockchain in existence today, and certainly not on THORChain. So that's
Okay.
why
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
so
like I
like
said,
because
I'm not in the
initially I
weeds.
thought the same as you. I was like, well, maybe that's not that much of a big deal. We can build around it. But then as I spoke with the devs, I understood that actually was a big issue for us if this come into existence. It completely kill, like it will never work. Computation will be too high, and either the chain will be congested all the time, or yeah,
Well, but
just
I mean, then there's the other way where they can just coexist. Like the virtualization service can just make use of the base layer limit orders. Like nothing really even has to change. You're just going to miss out on some flow, but like the rest of it still works.
No, but the flow from the base layer is at the center of everything. That's what backstop all the different leverage products. That's what guarantee.
Yeah,
like,
but that doesn't go anywhere. That's still there.
Well, no, not if we cannot use the virtualization strategy anymore as a transmission mechanism, because there is this
Why would you be able to use it?
Because there is this double computational loop. There is a loop in the loop. You have a loop on both
No,
sides.
but like you get this. I mean, the virtualization server just gets a quote from the base layer, right?
No, yeah, but to get this quote, it doesn't just get a quote from the base layer. It has to remodel everything that the base layer does. It cannot call an external API to get a quote.
I hear what you're saying.
That's exactly the issue.
Boone,
the same issue with
Boone, are you just worried about basically Rujira, like just stealing fees from THORChain? Like if Rujira wasn't earning any fees off this, and THORChain made the same amount of money, would it matter whether we use Rujira's order book or this Devel's order book? Like, or do you think it's just the Devel's order book is just better tech, more efficient?
I do think it's better. I mean, I am not in the weeds enough to really say, but just like, you know, from what I've seen, just like like what PM was explaining, that's all quite complicated, right? And so complexity introduces friction. And my understanding, and Devel has said that, is his solution is just mathematically better. It's just just the math is just better. And long run, especially if we're trying to go after retail where we want the cheapest possible quotes, like every bit matters, right? So like every single edge matters. And so if it's mathematically better, then it's mathematically better.
But saying it's mathematically better, like based on which criteria? For me, like I would tell you, the other book we have built is better because it can accommodate several different strategies. So CCL is one, but there will be also DCL, that price based on Oracle price, and we have the VS and normal limit orders, and all of that. It's an intent matcher effectively, where you can also source of liquidity and then it match everything and capture any arbitrage profit if there is deviations. And for me, that sounds like a superior implementation than just adding limit orders at some point in the curve. So it depends what you are trying to optimize for. And Devel probably is an arbitrager. He's probably thinking in from a point of view of an arbitrager. So it's probably a very good reason for him to favor this execution because it will help his arbitrage. But at a system broader picture level, I think another book that allows you to have multiple strategies, that allows to therefore attract external liquidity because they can do things that they cannot do another place and put their asset at work and get a share of the volatility, the revenues that volatility in crypto allows people to capture. That's I think has a lot of value, and that's not possible with the implementation he's offering.
It's an interesting counterpoint.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kenton.
I think maybe you gotta start wrapping up, guys, because I'm feeling this conversation going on forever.
I'm really glad this happened, and I'm really glad you guys are talking together. And I don't know if you have to go, Kenton. But if you guys, I'm just so glad you're talking to each other. That's all I've wanted, and I really want this to go and like have Devel. I don't know how you say his name. get in there and hammer out these really nuanced weeds, you know, especially about the scalability issues, you know, versus that on the layer ones themselves. I mean, it just sounds like there can be some differences here that can either put either one over the top. But I find both your arguments very compelling, and I hate doing that because I sound like this pussyfied, you know, arbiter trying to fill into middle ground. But like legit, like I find Pragmatic's argument about having different utility resulting in more bandwidth for more utility that brings in more fees overall relative than just base layer ones that helps an arbitrager. Like there's two different skill sets here, right? I mean, these guys are building Rujira, which is an crazy awesome DeFi suite, and then we have arbitrager, which is a whole different skill in itself. You know, I don't have this professional competence to judge either way, right? This is all new territory for me. And so I really want you guys to just please talk to each other, this tech stuff, because this was so much more fruitful. I really appreciate you coming on, Boone, and you, Pragmatic Monkey, and having this conversation, because at least, you know, you've had some dialogue now, and you really got to get into the minutia of these things. That's what we need, and that's all I want. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Scene. Rant over.
No, thanks for having me, guys. And I think anyway, it's late.
It's getting late.
Let's wrap it up.
But if I maybe just add PM, the sunk cost fallacy. You know, we got to avoid that, right? And
that's true.
And Boone, you know, it's not fair to say, oh, it's in the ADR, read it. Like you have to sell your idea. You got to explain it nth times over and over again. You can't just tell people to go read it.
I mean, I didn't have
for the audience too, because I haven't read it. I'm willing to bet majority of people listening haven't read it. So that's your chance to explain it.
Well, that was just specifically for Chad's question of like how the limit orders are different than the limit swaps, and I didn't have that off the top of my head. So like I would have had to read it out loud to you guys. I just didn't have the answer at hand.
I understand.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just helping you both out to maybe get what you want.
And to be clear, it's very complex stuff. Like none of us, especially like no one on this call is a dev. It's
hey, I have Claude. I got Claude. We talk about and ChatGPT. We talk
about 4.8.
That's the worst type of dev. So the one that are vibe coding. No, but it's hard stuff. And the reality is we will not like those are two very different visions. Like we have, I think, a much more like grow focus vision where effectively we want to build this additional layer of liquidity on top of THORChain, which in turn increase the total volume of fees, both from the THORChain side, but also from the Rujira side, which in turn mean protocol and liquidity can compound faster, which creates this permanent source of capital that will generate revenue at perpetuity, assuming assets are not stolen in the Asgard vault, as long as there is volatility in the crypto markets. And that's a beautiful thing. But it's really about growing the pie, creating those great products, those great strategy, because at the end in crypto, what most people come is to make money. And what we can do is offer them way to put their assets at work that are differentiated, that allows them to build a complementary stream of income. That's really what we've been doing with CCL and soon TCL. And we just need, like, I know, like, when you were trying to, like, we need to model it, like, it's impossible to model. There are two paths forward. And I personally, like, have a strong conviction that our path at the end is the best one in the long term, because it's very much focused toward growth, which I think crypto as an industry in general, assuming we survive the few months of AI doom we are currently going through, has a lot of potential of. And I think it's a superior vision, but we will not know only after the fact. So all what we're asking is, let us try this way. Like if we are really here to build for the next 10, 20 years together, let's get it rolling. Like we have plans. It's not like we are coming out of nowhere. We are just proposing that. We have been building these things already. Let's give it a shot before we make a change that can introduce a lot more risk in the base layer, and that's gonna make our attempts completely moot and needing to restart everything from scratch, assuming devs are still willing to do that.
Well, I know, Boone, I know you could say more, and I know this conversation can go on, and I'm honestly willing to stay here as long as possible, but I know it's late for Pragmatic Monkey, but I just want this this conversation to happen thereafter, okay? So I think we're going to wrap up the show. I'll have you two guys just stay with us, just so, you know, you can upside on your client side. But Kenton, sound good? Is there anything else before we wrap it up?
I think we should wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long one. Yeah. And thank you everybody for sticking up as long as you guys. Okay, guys, if you'd like to become a node operator on THORChain, need some help, please reach out to @RuneTard on X. He can help you get set up and find bond providers. For THORChain data and insights, follow @RayAnalytics on X. He does written recaps of these podcasts too, and he's going to have his work cut out for this one. I can guarantee you that. And remember, guys, the views expressed are solely of the hosts and guests. Any action taken based on the information is your own risk. Past performance is not indicative of future results. The THORChain community does not endorse or condone illicit activity of any kind whatsoever. This Saturday, guys, we're going to be talking with Zephyr @Zephyr_org. I believe it's Goose is the name. We're going to be chatting with them, so check out with that. The next Saturday, we're going to be talking to Nano GPT. I met those boys at BTC Las Vegas convention.
And you said it right.
I did. I didn't say Chat GPT.
Yeah,
I'm not a boomer today, Kenton. I remember your joke. I was insulted, but that's okay. We're going to move on. But yeah, we're going to be chatting with those boys. Really cool team, guys. I'm so excited for you guys to hear them. These boys are just, I love winners, man. These are go-getters. So with that being said, guys, thank you, everybody. Boone, PM, Kenton, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye.